we saw some players using them and then instantly being shot down. So there's a risk to it as well.
Well, there is a risk to it, but it's time to get into our gameplay for today. Round number 1 is underway. Stress, Mine Creek, take it away, gents.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. DUOS 14 games at the ESL Katowice Royale. So settle yourself next to the pool at Paradise Palms. Stock up on Slurp Juice because we are in for the long haul. And these were our solos winners from yesterday, or our solo winner yesterday. As Vinny, we saw him dropping over in Snobby. The distribution of teams to start this off. How many teams do you think viably are going to be landing in the same spot? Because it's a whole lot more difficult than solos, right, to get that loot disparity.
Yeah, that's right. Like we mentioned earlier, I think we'll see a lot of things changing after maybe 1 or 2 games. In the beginning, you might see some contesting going on, but you know, these players want to get to late game as soon as possible. I want to say that at the first couple of games. So maybe we'll see a bit more passive play here. And when they figure out where, like, how many people, how many opponents are in their vicinity, they will start making different plans.
It's interesting. We did see Vinny drop in on Snobby, right? And now we see as well Animal and Aspect here as well. If I'm not mistaken, they might end up against each other. But we've got a very South Storm, or at least safe zone, to start things off. But DUOS is a little slower. In the early game, in the mid game as well, just there's fewer fights because you can't get that one pump and oh, you've won the fight instantly. The elimination's gone off. You can't just move on. You have to take both teammates down or at least get one and then rotate out. We're seeing Aiden and Nick Merckx here, Keolis, Mixalibur, Fax Fox, and Aim Hero all in Tilted Towers.
It looks like they will be pretty aggressive here to begin with. They haven't really spotted their opponents, but they are moving as a unit right now. Whereas Mixalibur seems to be kind of split from his opponent, from his teammate.
And this is one of the areas where we're expecting more action in the early game, just the way that Tilted tends to play out. As Aim Hero and Fax Fox very vocal on Twitter to say, oh no, we're coming Tilted, and anybody else who lands here, be prepared to fight.
You know, that could be a scare tactic as well. You want to scare those players away. But, you know, Aiden and Nick Merckx won't really give that up so easy.
Yeah, they well known for it. Everybody knows they're dropping there. Yeah. I think that'll be the surprise. Is it 14 solid games of Tilted Towers for Aiden and Nick Merckx, or do they say, okay, maybe we've lost this fight, or we didn't win every single one, so maybe we move? It's game 1 of the weekend. 14 games total over 2 days. We are in for the long haul. No player has been eliminated so far. Yeah. So we're in. In fact, 2 players aren't in this, so we're with Blacks as Hunter does get downed, and Hunter actually drops the case. You can see that in the action feed. So 96 players remain on this one.
So that's the first team going down to start this day off. And looking here at Blacks, so he does have a minigun and a attack shotgun, so that's in his advantage. But it looks like they will start to push in here like pretty fast.
Down goes the Vic, tries to get the angle on the fight. Envy is going to get down to start this off. Blacks is going to try and spin up that minigun. Envy is out of here already as the Vic takes a lot of damage. And now it's Sinnoh, 1 versus 2. The health is low on the Vic, but Sinnoh's going to take this one slower, just get himself behind a wall.
And we see Vic here with his team, and Vic and Black, so just taking it really slow. You don't want to push in too much and make mistakes here. They do already have 1 elimination. They don't necessarily need to go for the second push. Not really sure if I agree with it. You do have the upper hand, but you know, taking it slow is what we expected at this point.
Jam side and 7 SSK 7 pushing towards Zeke and Poverty, and Poverty didn't get the rift. It was Zeke that goes through, and that's a lot of damage that's been done in the air, trying to track him down, trying to get any last shot that they can to pick up a down to start this. But oh, look at how low Zeke is. Poverty just gets taken out from 135 meters to get downed.
And we see Zeke doesn't really have a lot of health here, so not quite sure if they will make it way out of this one.
Yeah, this would be a very tricky one because Zeke has to track back and find Poverty. So looks like the Russian and Belarus duo are going to pick up their first elimination of this game.
And that's right. And as they do so, looks like Paradise is theirs for the taking now. There's no one else in there, which is somewhat of a surprise, being such of a hotspot.
Right, and maybe talk to us a little bit about why that could be, because I know some of the mobility, like the rifts, were changed on this southeast side of the map.
We saw Povit to go there for a finish, but yeah, we could get back to that in a second. We do have Tux here jumping into a little fight.
Yeah, Provoked is here alongside him, and they're trying to get onto that first floor. Looks like Jules and M11Z, or Mies here, to try and take this fight.
We do see a secondary team up on the mountain right next to them, so that's something you have to bear in mind. If you do take this fight, you will have the risk of another team jumping in. So I'd expect these players to maybe go back a little bit, maybe not engage in a fight, but at the same time, as soon as you rotate away from there, the other team might just, shoot, fire at you from behind.
Aim Hero did just go down in the action feed, but here we're on with Provoke trying to get through that wall, does break it to start, but ends up with a little damage traded in response. You can hear the explosives are going off. Going to try and disrupt as much of this building as possible. Dynamite has been charged. Tux is trying to run away, see where he can get to. Loses all of his cover at this point, and Jules is going to try and just get a few shots with that silenced SMG.
Using those Dynamite to their advantage, opening up. Oh, that's a beautiful hit, actually.
Jules just took so much damage in response, and Provoke trying to come over the top. That's a third party, I think. The ones from the hill that you were talking about as Provoke gets shut down. And this is the dangerous situation with DUOS, is you can't just relentlessly be aggressive, but that is so much damage coming through as Provoke ends up dropping. Jules gets a wall up, but it's too late. Now trying to drop down to the low ground to settle himself, and Tux, did he just get sniped?
I believe so. That's the danger of having a team nearby.
That was Nate Hill, and Funk Bomb from the hill takes him out. His duo is already down. The duo is out.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, that's a risk, and they will be happy with that. Funk Bomb and Nate will just, yeah, we're happy with that elimination. We'll head out. But look at this tilted action already. Yeah,
Keolis, without his duo, will get dropped by Nick Merckx, and Nick Merckx and Aiden may very well have established themselves as the kings of Tilted in Game 1, because Aim Hero and Fax Fox fell already. I saw that in the action feed earlier on. So some important eliminations over in Tilted.
Yes, I did see a secondary third team making their way into Tilted, so let's see how long they can actually hold that for. A little bit of a fight here going on the outside of Dusty Divot.
Yeah, this is Mota and Eric Triceps, who, Eric, it's his first real experience in a tournament setting. This is very early launch pad to start moving. Is that just to disengage from that fight completely and say, okay, we'll take a fight another day?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't necessarily need to use those mobility items to rotate, but sometimes you do need to use them to get away from a fight and live to see another day.
Nate Hill and Funk Bomb are in Fatal, but there's teams in the cornfields for now. Just hiding out, trying to just keep themselves safe.
That's a scary spot, right? You can't really see people moving around there, except for the little grass like bumping up. This is Violinen and Windwalker, as you said it. I mean, they're not alone here, though. It's getting pretty scary. We have the twins, Jesse and Jordan, making the win.
At all, and here we go. The first time on stream at an international tournament, we are going to see the X2 twins in duos here in Europe as live and in person. Now we get to see them go up against Funk Bomb and Nate as well. Over the top they go, and look at this. Funk Bomb gonna back himself away, make sure he's closer to Nate. This is one of these real dream duos that we want to see face off against each other, but it's gonna be slow and steady to start this one off. Look at the disengage from Nate and Funk Bomb. They are constantly trying to just put up as much in the way as they can, but a lot of it has just got dropped. Nate just took a lot of damage from this, and over the top, Jesse goes. Jordan is tracking a little bit further behind him, and they have to watch their own backs because we know there were other teams around Fatal.
And you can just see their synergy already, taking different angles, having one of them push up while one stays behind on higher ground, trying to suppress some fire while,
Jesse's gone over the top. He's dropping down towards Funk Bomb. If he can get through this wall, maybe he can get it, but he's got to be careful of where Nate Hill is. Jesse trying to build up, get that high ground, and the X2 twins have secured the advantageous position for themselves, but they have to convert it. Edit comes through, does not hit the shot, and Jordan takes a lot of damage in response. Now they desperately have to scramble to get that high ground and still watch their backs, because you can see top side of your screen, that other team is already building their way towards this fight.
And what may have started as an upper hand is now about to turn around here. It's a little bit of a slow fight, which we've been talking about. DUOS.
And Nick Merckx just took out Vivid and Poach. It just came through in the action feed. That is a massive set of pickups for Nick Merckx and Aiden, who I think a lot of people underestimated. We talk about them so much as having kind of that gimmick of the Kings of Tilted, but they, in game one, seem to be going off. The X2 Twins have slowed down. Nate and Funkbomb have settled themselves as well. And Storm Surge is kicking in, but I don't think it's going to affect any of the players here.
And this is what we've been talking about when we're into duos. These fights may take a little bit longer, a little bit more of a standoff, especially when so much is at stake. You don't really want to rush in and just go for those eliminations because you don't want to make it to end game. You don't want to make sure you actually last.
Funkbomb even finding enough time to just peek off to the north, see if you can pick somebody off as they run, but we saw yesterday how that can be punished. If somebody comes from behind, if you're not expecting it, if you don't hear them coming, then you can end up dropping quite easily. But I think this is going to be a war of attrition between Jordan, Jesse, Nate, Hill, and Funkbomb. It's going to be whoever makes the first wrong move is going to get punished heavily. But Funkbomb for now is just saying, okay, I'll just take pot shots.
Yeah, no real point in engaging here. They do know they have teams right next to each other, or right next to them. So engaging in a fight here is probably not the wisest move. But you know, I mean, Nate as well, just chilling back a bit.
A duo with a lot of experience here on the Katowice stage. Hoopex and Skix making their way up towards this very same area. We are about to have a clash of titanic names around Fatal Fields. And, you know, they've been playing now, this is the second week of competition. Out comes some Clingers, I think it was, at the side, down towards the bottom of this. And that's just to cover their own movement over to the side of this hill. Nate can't quite get the angle. He's built himself into a defensive position as it is. And back to that trade with the X2 Twins.
And I'm not quite sure if they know that there's another team up on that hill. It was a really risky rotation through, I mean, there's 3 teams right next to them. Using those clingers to ensure somewhat of a safe rotation. And that's what I like about using explosives, especially bottle rockets. It may not really be that strong, but if you use them to your advantage when you rotate, you can distract them.
Nick Merckx and Aiden may be in a little bit of trouble because Tixi and Mushway are in this storm with them. They're fighting, but none of them have dropped for now. Mushway has to get himself out. Aiden has fallen. Jordan and Jesse have just gone down to Funkbomb. That is a massive pickup as both of the X2 Twins eliminated by Funkbomb and Nate Hill just outside Fatal. And
that can happen when you have a standoff going on for so long. You might not really watch your 6, and it's really, yeah, could...
Importantly, Aiden hasn't yet been eliminated. He was downed, and I think by the looks of it, he got himself inside the safe zone. But it's now on Nick Merckx to get around the corner and actually bring him back up. In fact, I think Nick Merckx just fell as we take a look at a lot of that loot scattering down. So out of this game already, and so many players have just been eliminated. A lot of it is due to the way that Storm Surge kicks in, and you have to keep dealing damage, or you'll take damage from the Storm if you're under that threshold.
If you don't see a lot of action in the early game, you will see it around this time. The circle is getting closer. Players do have to rotate to the third circle. And yeah, as we can see here, a lot of players just stacking up on top of each other. Alpha very low here on the bridge.
Alpha low on the bridge, desperately gets himself away, but look at the names. It's 72 Hours, Chap, Demo, and Bizzle. Some of the best North America has to offer on this bridge. And Bizzle already has 1 elimination to his name. How much more can we get? Because we are not in the placement points yet. 25th is the first position that you can start getting points for placement. At this point, it's just that 5 points per elimination that is active in this game.
And this is somewhat of a, I wouldn't say sweet spot there, but this is the point where, as you said, you're almost by the placement points, so you do anything to stay alive at this point.
Yeah, you just settle in, try and get yourself into any corner which people can't eliminate you from. Tajowski taking damage from the side as Nero is alongside him. They are bunched together, trying to shoot out at Far, one of our Brazilian competitors. Now all from 2 sides. Tajowski and Nero are closing in. Far tries to drop out the back. Stink Bomb will cover him for now as Nero is taking damage from the hill. Zeke, I think, was the one that was just clipping out a third party from a third duo at this point as Nero is taking more damage from the side. Far was finished off by Tajowski. So Tajowski picks up his 2nd elimination and the crowd react. This is the performance we wanted to see out of Tajowski that we didn't last week, and he's showing up in game 1.
And as we can see, they're trying to recover here from the fight. They do have a lot of good stuff in their inventory. In duos, you know, you do have those extra 5 slots where you can kind of mix it up a bit. You can carry more stuff. You can carry more mobility. You can carry more utility. And as we saw, they did have a rift. They did have a lot of shields. And all they have to do now is recover and start making it forward.
Yep, at this point, they pretty healthy for Tajovsky and Nero. Motor is sat just there. He's like, I really hope they don't push me in the same way that they just got that elimination. It's so difficult 1 versus 2, right, man? Like when you're in a 1-by-1 and you have a duo either side of your walls, it's near impossible.
At that point, you just hold your thumbs, stay as quiet as possible, and hope for the bad men to go away.
They won't go away in this setting unless there's like the storm pushing them already. At that point, they'll just stand and take that elimination, right? It's so tough to end up losing a situation 2 versus 1, but we have seen it in the Polish duos. We actually saw a final showdown, 2 versus 1, and it was 1 from the low ground. And we'll see whether anything as crazy as that happens in this game. But that's one of the reasons why we're seeing the minigun picked up by a lot more players than we were anticipating last week. The ability to just chew through a lot of building, disrupt a lot of what people are doing when you're in a safe position is something that the players talked about a lot.
We will see Jay and Zero here probably recycling the existing rift used. Yep. Get in there before it disappears, get that free rotation, and see Lolito landing here in the middle of the bridge. Not sure if he is alone. He is not. His friend Isma is here.
I'm pretty sure Lolito is never alone with the amount of followers and viewers Lolito typically has. I guarantee there are always people checking in on him, and we can check in on Aspect and Animal that were in the screen, but we're jumping over to Tajovsky and Nero, who rift as well. Mota is trying to get his way up, but he can't get the rift. He can't take the taxi out, as Milan and Smeef are under a lot of pressure from Jam side on the side. There's so many people firing at them, as Violinen is going to just peek through the roof and just say, okay, for now, I think we're fine.
We eventually did see Smeef go down there, so better luck next time. And just look at this. We're at the bridge. We have a campfire, a little smoke going off there, a bunch of people stacked up on each other. And this is a very scary place for a zone to start moving. You have the river. If it goes back and forth, it's gonna cause a lot of chaos.
Yeah, and there are some big names here. As you said, Animal and Aspect right in the middle. You got Scram over on the right-hand side of your screen. He picked up a victory royale yesterday in the solos and seems to be okay. Full health and shields right now. There's so many people around him. I think it's Jules and Mies just behind where the map is on your screen. They're over on the right side of it, and there's just everybody here.
That's right. We can see the circle now making it to the 4th one, all the way up north. This is a lot of rotation.
This is a very dangerous valley to go through as well, right? There's that river area, and either side, big hills, as Zate is going to try and get Jam side and 7SSK7.
If you're one of the teams now on the southern side of this zone and you do not have a lot of storm surge
off there. Lot.
If you do not have a lot of mobility, any mobility, if you're on the south side of the zone here, you're in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh, Black's actually dying to Storm Surge there. Gets eliminated because he couldn't get into a position to deal damage. 72 Hours just picked up Alpha, and Nate Hill just got downed by Fwexy from 70 meters. We'll see whether they can pick him up as Cloud ends up falling to Seth.
Looks like his teammate Myth is still in it though. That was a knock into an elimination.
Constant Storm Surge damage here on the teams. 25 damage it's hitting for. So you can't really sit around. You can't really just take that damage. Myth's still in this game as Majin, a second place from yesterday, is going to glider his way onto the side of the river. Tajovsky moves, Mies moves, Jules moves as well over the top. And look at where 7SSK7 and Jam side are. They have that high ground. They have the bird's eye view nearly on everything. It's 72 Hours and Chap in the opposite position, right down on the floor, trying to get their way to the zone.
This is just the perfect position to be in now. You have high ground. You have a lot of high ground over everybody. You can just sit up here for a while and watch other players rotate while you get some free shots on them and possibly some eliminations.
Yeah, Isma trying to drop right onto the Russian duo up at the top as we got forward Norwood. There's 4 eliminations to himself. Ares has 1 as well. So this is 25 points in the bag already, and 28 teams remain. 28 duos means we are only 3 elimination sets away from those placement points. So you don't want to drop now, otherwise you don't get any points for surviving.
We just see the circle making it all the way back here to the southern side. And there's a lot of existing buildings there, so that might work in the advantage or in the disadvantage of other players.
7 SSK7's running the medic build right now. Campfire, mini potions, big potions, slip, juice, everything. He's like, I've got it. Only thing I need is like bandages or a first aid kit.
Just a perfect loadout for the end game. Circle starts to move here, going into the 6th one. I love that sound, by the way.
Skyd is trying to just angle his way through anything he can. 4 clingers in the inventory that we just saw, and they're going to become prevalent as here goes the movement. All the way with that storm. This build path is going to flow like a river, up the river and back down, because it is following its own track. A lot of eliminations just came through as Animal and Aspect trying to track it forward. Underneath them, Ghost, Bizzle, and Demo are making their way in. Myth's still alive. We're keeping an eye on that name because he's under so much pressure from people. That's why I'm tracking him so much. He had clingers, he had people shooting at him. 7 SSK7!
That was full damage.
They had such a good position at the top of the mountain and ends up getting eliminated early. 21 teams remain. We are into the points as Animal is going to get forced to move from that stink grenade. Not too far for now.
Now the circle's making its way up again. It's going up, it's going down, it's going up. This is just very dangerous right now for players. There's a lot of builds going on, and
Vinny just got himself an elimination. I saw it in the action feed here as well as Demo's tracking. He's one of the first ones on the move. And Chap, Zextro, at the bottom, on the floor of this move, and Zayt, look at this position for Saf and Zayt. That is what you want to see right now. If they have the materials to keep going, they have 55 builds on Zayt for now.
And I love this building. They maintain their high ground while using their lower ground to their advantage, where another team is building right below them. So they do have that safe layer and can maintain the really high ground here.
Yeah, and now we're on with 72 hours. One of the duos that just has so much expectation on them, and they're into the end game as Chap no longer in this game. Chap taken down by Tajovsky as the crowd roars once again.
Just a lot of buildings here. This is going to be really difficult for players to make it through. Zayt and Sapphire still on the high ground. Right below them we have Momentos. Looks to be alone. No Vexy is with him.
Saf and Zayt, they do have the builds. They have ammo available. Aspect picks one. 72 hours has got camo. Just saw that in the action feed as BloodX very low on the bottom. 2 eliminations for Saf and Zayt as they're trying to just keep as much of this position as they can. Tajovsky just got 72 hours. Talk about showing up in his hometown here. Tajovsky on Polish soil doing very well in game 1. Aspect with 2 eliminations to his name. Mitro's still in this game as he took down Svenos.
Svenos dropping down there, as I said. I don't think Tajovsky can make it out of this one, though. He is always dropping very low. He did eventually go out. Demo taking out.
We're down to 5. 3 duos remain, and Aspect and Animal must be in such a good position. Demo down on the low ground. It's Zayt and Saf up on the top. This is an all-American brawl at this point as Aspect takes out Demo. Animal still looking for more. Saf picks up the knockdown on Animal at the bottom. It's 4 players remain. Is this a 2 versus 2 as Demo had fallen? Animal knocked in the storm. Aspect getting pressured from the top as Zayt trying to drop down on him as Saf is there as well. Saf trying to find that angle, looks for the shot, doesn't quite get it, but it's enough to finish them off with a victory royale for Saf and Zayt.
Beautiful performance. They're just maintaining the high ground, just showing everybody, hey, we're here, we got the high ground. We can jump down as well. We don't need to take it. And yeah, just great performance overall.
Great performance. And North America showing up huge in the way that this duo has played out. Just getting themselves into the zone. We have basically an all-star cast for the North America Fortnite community just playing through those last couple of storms. We saw everybody just tracking their way through. And Saf and Zayt, great performance. That's that high ground transitioning with the materials, with the ammo, with everything to pick up that victory royale.
Yeah, continuing from where they left off. I mean, Saf, he was first in the secret skirmish duos last time we've seen him. That was with a random teammate. Now he's got someone he wants to team with, and hey, what's surprising there? You know, he takes home the first victory royale of the day. What a performance from those 2 gentlemen. And I want to talk about the start of the game as well, because we talked about at the end. We've seen what happened at the end. Great stuff. I love that tilted battle, man, at the start. And we've got to give a shout out to Aiden and Nick Merckx. They dominated that tilted drop because we saw a few things on Twitter between a few of the players saying, we're going tilted, we'll see you there. Still the Kings of Tilted.
I think there's that expectation where a lot of the competitive games so far, we've seen a lot of focus on Aiden and Nick Merckx when it's always just about Tilted, but actually performed really well in this first game. And I think that's a reason to watch them because of that performance, especially Nick Merckx. He comes in, he wasn't here yesterday for solos and puts up some good numbers.
I mean, what impressed you so much about Saf and Zayt there towards that end game? Because they seem to just maintain that high ground, which has made their job so much easier.
So what stood out to me was the fact that they had a really high ground. And normally you would go down a couple of layers to make sure, no, you can't get shot down and die by fall damage. But they had a team right below them who were also on high ground and just, you know, like making their way across the map. And instead of going down, they just use this other layer to their advantage, making sure that, all right, if we do get shot down now, we'll just have another layer to land on.
Okay, then. Well, I think it's time that we hear from our winners of that game number 1. They're down on the floor with Adam. Congratulations, boys.
Thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, I'm joined by Zayt and Saf here. Fellas, you seem so calm, so composed, considering you just won the very first game. What's going through your minds right now? How are you feeling?
I feel like I'm at home right now. I'm just like, when we're screaming, I'm never stressed, I'm never nervous. My first tournaments, I was kind of nervous, a little shaky, but right now I just feel like I'm at home.
I mean, I saw you guys in the green room beforehand, just chilling out, lying on the beanbag, just relaxing. I mean, you've come into this, Saf, as well. You seem very relaxed.
Well, yeah, we did good this game, but like we said, it's like a marathon, so we gotta keep doing well.
Now, you guys got 4 eliminations during that and the Victory Royale as well. It couldn't have gotten off to a better start. Talk me through the strategy in the game. Did everything pan out as you hoped?
So we had like no kill, not a lot of mobility, and then midway through a game, someone just opened a window and I had a grenade launcher, so I just like tossed some grenade launcher in there and I got kill. And that gave us like launch pads and all that stuff, max mats. So we just used a launch pad and we just like went for height. It was like free, and then from there we just kept the height like the whole game.
And also as well, obviously, you finished the game together as well. That's a massive bonus, finishing a game, working together as a team the entire time.
Yep, it's awesome. We both ran out of mats, both dropped at the same time and killed the guy.
Now, going forward into the competition now, do you stick to the same, just go with the flow, or did you adapt every time you play a different game?
I'd say we adapt. You can't, Fortnite's not a recipe. You can't just do that. Just like strats you're gonna do like almost every game, but yeah, you have to adapt every single game because it's gonna be different.
Amazing. Once more, Zayt and Saf, thank you guys so much. The winners of game number 1 at the ESL Katowice Royale. Well done, guys. At this point, you're the closest to the trophy, but there's a long way to go. Best of luck with the rest of the competition, guys. Back to you, Mark. Back to you, guys. What a great game that was.
Fantastic stuff from those 2 gentlemen. Not too surprised to see them taking home that first Victory Royale there. But something I want to touch on here. We talk about how important the eliminations are in game, because we're always on about points. It's all about points. If they hadn't have got that elimination by firing those grenades through that window, they didn't have the mobility. So looting obviously so important for these players, and another reason to force those engagements if you don't have the inventory that you potentially need.
Yeah, that's one of those things that progressively, as you get the eliminations, I mean, generally, the teams that have the higher eliminations get the better inventory kind of by osmosis, right? You just end up getting people's stuff, and you say, okay, well, that's mine now.
It's a snowball effect we've been talking about. If you do get some good loot from an elimination, you do get a bunch of items, and you can just use that to your advantage to continue making it to the late game, and eventually, like we saw, just taking home the victory.
Yeah, Aspect, a bit of a caught between a rock and a hard place there towards the end with the 2 players dropping on him, but a solid performance coming in for those 2 as well.
Yeah, did well, because yesterday it took a little while for Animal and Aspect to warm up. As we said, like I think that was just normal for the players that on this stage were getting used to it. And this game, game 1, is like nothing that I need to warm up anymore, making it to the late game, making it to that last zone.
Okay, well, fantastic stuff, gentlemen. Game number 1 is done and dusted. We're going to go for a break right now, but when we get back, we've got plenty more coming your way. Gentlemen,
Yep.
I'm sorry to cut you off because you can see round number 2 is about to get underway. Lots of duos action to come today. We've got 7 rounds to get through. Let's get through this one.
7 rounds, and we start round 2 looking around Pleasant and Loot Lake, because this is one of the areas we want to track from our leaders, Zayt, Saf, and we anticipate Metro and Kuna to be around Loot Lake as well. That's one of their normal drop spots, so we want to watch this fight for the top and see how it ends up kind of being prevalent throughout the game. We did just see Metro, yeah, dropping over in that area. So
we see them dropping here by the factories at Loot Lake, which is pretty safe in the sense of, you know, if you do see a team in Loot Lake, you don't necessarily have to engage. You can just fall back a bit and find another spot to loot. But I mean, you do need loot to make it to the end game, right? So I mean, there's not enough loot just at factories. But wait, are they split?
yes, they are. I was going to bring that up. Kuna is actually up on the hill where there used to be Stormwings spawning, I think, looking at the map. You can see we got a zoomed out version on the bottom right-hand side. So are Saf and Zayt a little bit, but they're a lot closer to each other than Metro and Kuna. So a little bit of a risk, but this is that disengage that we were talking about. You know, it's not all about going for the eliminations early. I think it actually was a different team that is split up on that way, but definitely Metro and Kuna are split up.
That's pretty risky, right? But I mean, even Zayt and Saf seem to be split up as well, Loot Lake. So I mean, there is a risk to it, but if you're comfortable enough with it, I think it's fine, right? And they proved that last game.
Yeah. Honestly, though, not a lot of action going on with Kuna, Zayt, Saf, and Metro. We were anticipating maybe a little bit more of a fight, which is why we put our focus on this area of the map. I think it's safe to say, for now, they're not actually going to go head-to-head with how spread out they are. But this house, you know, we've been talking about this a lot. You and Baller have been talking about how that's going to become a point of interest in competitive the later it goes. But here we might see some action as Venos is around Rezero and X8, but they're on different levels at this point. They are way far away from each other on that vertical axis.
Yeah, I mean, X8 and Razru here in the basement of Polar Peak Castle, which is one of my drop spots. I really like this place, filled with materials. You have a lot of brick. You have a lot of wood here as well. Well, enough wood, I'd say. And you do have an escape plan as well. You can go in the back entrance of this castle and just make your way down to Greasy if you'd like. You know,
Yeah, we saw a few games end in this area in the Polish and in the solos competition, so it's certainly one of those trickier areas to traverse to get up the hill, and always has that massive impact. And mobility, we talked about it, there is a rift to go in the inventory. Great to get that early on.
Yeah, you know, X8 and Raz, I do not believe they dropped in Polar last game, so I think they've switched things up a little bit.
Well, that's what we were talking about, that adaptation game to game and saying, hey, let's go for a different drop. We swap over to one of my duos that I think is going to be a duo that'll do well because their online performance, Airwax and Nikov, didn't really have a great game one, but that's okay. 14 games, we're going to keep saying it because it is a massive, important part of this as we're on with Milan and Smeef. They're in a bit of a firefight. There are 2 other duos around, and Milan gets caught from above as the Brazilian team are dropping in. History takes a lot of damage, but he does end up getting the knockdown on Milan to begin this. History, however, is about 1 health in that box. If he could have got that elimination, that would have made it a lot easier for him. And now, I think that he gets covered by Far, and Far is able to pick one off. That instantly gives them that exchange.
In an early fight like this, you did see Milan. He didn't really have any materials left at that point. So at that point, if you're at low ground, all you have is your aim to work with. And sometimes that's just not enough. You do need those mats if you want to stay on the upper hand of a fight.
Funk Bomb's got the right attire for Fatal Fields. He's got his dungarees, got his straw hat on, and is running through the cornfields as Nate Hill and Funk Bomb back themselves away from the fight. And again, it's one of those things early on. If you don't get that pick instantly, is it really worth sitting around using materials, using ammo, and taking that trade?
No, so this is a pretty interesting subject, right? So either, if you do leave a point of interest because of another team contesting you, there's not a lot of other places you can go, right? So sometimes the best option is to contest or engage in a fight. But look at this, tilted here with Aiden and Nick Merckx versus McSaliber and Keolis. We do not see a fight yet, but it looks like we're about to go into a fight. Aiden and Nick pushing up here pretty slowly, but
Well, Kings don't do too well in France, and we'll see if there's a revolution at Tilted Towers as the Vitality duo are trying to close their way in, but it's Nick Merckx that's actually putting the pressure down from the distance. Got decent equipment, at least to start this early game engage. Aiden following a little bit behind him, and Vitality are going to say, no, we'll live to fight another day. Again, it's a very similar decision, and they might actually get rewarded for it, but if they stop for this supply drop, Nick Merckx is closing in along the top of this hill.
These are aggressive players. They will not let them leave. And look at this. By going down to River, they basically gave Nick Merckx and Aiden the high ground here, so putting them in kind of an awkward spot.
You can see Nick Merckx did just spot something in the distance that made him want to move, and now Aiden is putting the pressure on with that stink bomb. Nick Merckx moves in at the same time, and Vitality Keolis manages to switch direction on them. SMG does spray into that wood, and Aiden can't quite find the angle yet.
The awareness here is just great. Look at this, working together as a team. Just try to lose the side run, though.
Over the top, though, goes Excalibur. And Nick Merckx has taken a pause on this one for now. Keolis does have that Rift to go as well. This is a pretty solid inventory. You've got that AR, you've got the damage, does get damage in response, but down to 24 health. Aiden did get dropped from that Keolis. They can't quite push for the final part of this elimination, and Nick Merckx is going to guard for now. Oh, does get the first shot off against Excalibur, but that's Aiden and Nick Merckx out of this game, as Keolis will be able to res Excalibur and keep him in this game.
Very nice turnaround there. They did push down on River, very confident, and I do like it, but sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Sometimes...
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't, right? You lose the trade, you don't quite get what you want. We saw a good game one from them, but we've got 93 people still in this game, so unfortunately it's going to have to be game 3 that we see the Tilted Kings once again, because we're on with Funk Bomb and Nate. They had a great game in the first one. We saw them trading heavily with the X2 twins, who seem a little bit quiet on the map for now. We haven't seen them at all this game, and they were around that fatal area, and they haven't shown themselves. Did Airwax just drop?
Yeah, it looks like
Airwax just got knocked by... Oh dear, Airwax.
Looks like fall damage. Could have been a fight. Might not necessarily be his fault. You know, sometimes it doesn't...
Exactly. Don't worry, I've known Airwax for so long. You won't mind me being like, oh, Airwax just knocked down. But no elimination has come through yet, so it looks like he's okay. And Nate, we're going to go a drive-in for a little bit here, rotate themselves out.
Coffee and Beehive, players we haven't really seen too much. We did have Beehive yesterday in the solos, but they're pretty good. They have
Is it a beehive or a bush hive at this point? I saw a lot of people that, you know, commenting about, oh, why do people wear the bush? What's the point of the bush? Surely everybody that used to play Fortnite a while ago just goes, why would I pick up the bush? Martin, what makes the bush so good right now?
Well, it acts like a shield from pretty much any damage. Well, any damage. You can take a free hit and just like,
it's that one source of damage, right?
Yes, one source of damage. So, you know, if you're rotating with a bush, very nice if you do get sniped, because you'll take 0 damage and you have enough time to react to put up some walls for the next shot.
And it's good because your view doesn't get blocked like it used to as well.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot, but
at least less so than before.
I think
acceptable. Key thing.
Yeah.
As, here we go, riding with our Chinese duo, Lil J and 07. They're on the edge. They got a duo to their right, and just going to keep themselves in the mix. Redeploy comes out. Something that, with the cannons, we were expecting maybe we'd see, because you need that redeploy if you want to redeploy the glider in midair. Makes sense, right?
Not end outside the map, you know. Use it to kind of stay extra safe with those cannon rotations.
I think Tajovsky's made up for it with his performance today. I think Tajovsky in game 1 has already put that behind him.
Yeah, I think I bring it up a little bit too much. I bet he wants to forget it. Look here at the inventory. Pretty good here with Nikov. Has a lot of shields. We saw them earlier in retail here on the little standoff up by the shops, but it does seem like they've just dropped fallen off a little bit here. And I mean, there's a third team moving in here to Tilted. Is that Provoked and
Tux? Yeah, so Tux, the UK player who, again, UK doing very well. I know a lot of people say, oh, this British guy keeps tracking the UK people. But historically, the UK has not been a top esport country. When you look at Europe, it's been Denmark, it's been Sweden, Germany, France, doing very, very well. And UK in specific games shows up. And I'm glad to see that Fortnite, we have some contenders.
A lot of good commentators, though, I may say.
Thank you. I appreciate the sentiment, but Camo has just been downed in the action feed as Tux and Provoked making their way around the side of Retail, trying to get any angle they can on Llama, but really we're at that stage of the game where it's all about moving to the zone, but Llama does get clipped a few times. Blacks just does get 2, as Zexro just picked up Funk Bomb. That's one of our duos, 2 of our duos we were tracking heavily, and Vinny got Nate. The Americans have eliminated each other.
Yeah, I mean, EU can come out on top here thanks to NA just bringing down each other. We do see the circle. It's moved all the way to the new part of the map. It's halfway in the volcano, by the Oasis and the Pirate.
Jesse, don't taunt me. Don't tempt me with that inventory.
Oh, the balloons?
We'll see. We'll see what ends up coming from this. Is the X2 Twins we get our first glimpse of game number 2. They're stuck between Bizzle and a bunch of other players. As you can see, Nick Merckx and Aiden out of this game. Not many other players. Mushway has fallen. Margin's gone. Our second place from Solo, so a big elimination early on against him. Excalibur in a little bit of a firefight here, tries to get the replace, or at least the floor underneath him, does get it, but doesn't connect exactly as he wanted before. It's Ryux that is around here as Excalibur is trying to just pick up anything that he can. Dangerous at it at that point. It's kind of peeking over the wall. Didn't get punished for it.
But where is his teammate? I know he's still alive, but he's nowhere to be seen. This is just a 1v1 at this point.
Yeah, where is Keolis? Did they like have a miscommunication on a rift or something? Because Keolis had a rift to go earlier.
I mean, they do have 3 eliminations, so they might just be, hey, let's split up. Let's get as many eliminations as we can. Ooh, beautiful shot.
Good shot from the low ground from Ryux. Trying to find that elimination here, or at least it would be a down and then he could get it. But there's a redeploy out from Excalibur to say, no, I'm getting away from this fight.
You know, I would expect them to kind of finish up the fight here because time is of the essence as...
Oh, he's trying to cannon himself. You got to put yourself in... What?
But there's not
he's trying to get there. Oh.
Yeah.
That's sad. If it had a few more seconds, you might have been able to get it. The desperation cannon play.
And I like this. Excalibur used his redeploy to make it out of there instead of finishing up the fight. He knew that he would get knocked by the zone, but Keolis is there. He's on his way. He was on his way back to his friend to pick him up.
Storm Surge starting to tick. I think we just saw Lightning Strike on the left and another one that follows through every 5 seconds at 25 damage. If you're not dealing damage to people in response, get prepared to be knocked down or even eliminated if your duo is not there. Very dangerous to play around, and it forces a faster game. You can't afford to be slow, and it's Kuna and Mitro that are actually taking that damage from Storm Surge, it looked like.
Which is kind of surprising, seeing as we do think they have we think they have a lot of eliminations from the last round.
But it played into how the early game, we were watching Loot Lake, and they were split. They weren't taking fights. They didn't see Zayt and Saf at all, so I guess it kind of plays out. It makes sense in the situation.
That's right, and Lil J here together with Zero will probably try to use the vent here to rotate. Not quite sure if they know that Miz is around. He probably wants to stay quiet at this point.
Looks like Lil J had kind of angled over towards, they know he's here. They definitely know Miz is here. They're trying to find him. They've definitely seen him now, and as this storm starts to move, they give up on the fight. Ooh, first to that vent, and we're going to see a lot of these fights over the vent just to kind of secure that rotation tool to keep yourself in the zone in the late game.
Both Kinsel and Provoke going down there in the action feed, as we saw. Violinen and Windwalker looking somewhat okay. I mean, not really okay, not a lot of health there. But still in the game, Momentos and Twixie here in a fight with Eric and Motor.
Yeah, trying to build up our Motor, and Eric as Motor gets blocked on his way through. As Excalibur was just floating forever all the way through the lagoon. I don't know whether people caught that, but as he was dropping in, he just took the scenic route, took the short route, and Brazilian duo showing up already in this game. 4 eliminations, and we're at 66 people that remain in the game. That's a great start in history. We saw him yesterday how well. I think 8th place was his final placement.
Yeah, we don't really know what Fa has as an inventory, but history is looking pretty good. Not a lot of mobility items, though. With that many eliminations, I'd expect to see a little bit more, but as we said, we don't know what his teammate has. Speaking of Lagoons, though, looks like we'll have a circle ending at the pirate ship.
Yeah, that looks like where we're going. I saw in the action feed Tajovsky, I think it was Hupek that he downed. Two of our Polish players up against each other, and we've got Brazil stacked on top of China as the zone comes in, and they are barely there. But look at this damage coming in from the low ground, just trying to put as much pressure on History and Far as possible.
And there are a lot of cannon spawns at this area.
Oh,
Tyovsky. Okay.
He got another down on Hupek and the elimination. Oh, and Skix picks him off.
Far here recycling a rift, not quite sure where his teammate is, but there are a lot of vents you can use to your advantage here.
Yeah, this area you can just hop on,
yeah,
like constantly.
Doesn't really matter if your teammate makes it out, you know, there's enough for you to rotate away as well. We're going into the fourth zone here, moving in about 40 seconds. Not too much going on, a little bit of action, but still 60 players in the game.
Yeah, and again, placement points start at the 25th mark. And you can see on the minimap there is a supply drop just outside the zone. There's 2 duos fighting over it, about 8 duos on our screen here. Awax and Nikov still alive in this game. Oh, but again, we're not into placement points here as the Vic gets taken down by 7SSK7 and Jamside. So teamwork makes the dream work for them. They're picking up an elimination.
Keenstar making his way, starting to rotate here. Looks like he is alone, however. A lot of players here rotating in the same area, so this is pretty scary. You can't really make your way up to the vent. There are a lot of players up there. It is uphill, so you probably want to go by foot here.
Poach still in this game. We just saw him take the vent, so another one of the players from North America that the people have a lot of comments about. Like, everybody is talking about Poach and his performance, and I think it's an opportunity like this over 14 games to redeem yourself, right? I think he's very vocally been all about dropping in one place, and I want to see how that pays off, because there is something to say that if you are king of one location and you can take that every single game, then it does give you a benefit of getting to the late game. But we have seen, like in the solos yesterday, Margin mix it up all the time and come out very well for it as well. So it's that clash of player styles.
Yeah, if anything, it makes you unpredictable. And if you can decide to drop somewhere else, you know, it just shows what kind of good player you are. If you can just decide to, hey, I'm gonna drop here, I'm gonna drop here, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, and so making its way into the 5th circle here just shortly.
Bizzle and Demo still in this one. They're above the threshold for Storm Surges. Faxbox gets taken out by Poach. That's a big pickup. There's damage from that high ground. Mitro and Kuna are here. Mitro in second place. We've got the X2 twins at the top of your screen, up at the back. Nero is there with Tyovsky. We've got the Brazilian duo managed to make it out of that situation alive for 72 hours. And he does get dropped by Aspect. Aspect trying to keep himself alive as Aspect. His duo has been dropped for now. You can hear everything. There's a trap. There's explosives coming through. This is such a tricky position for Aspect as he's trying to build his way out of this. 72 hours drops off the cliff to try and stay alive. And for a moment, Aspect gets a little bit of respite.
I mean, a lot of third-partying going on. As soon as you see someone being shot at, there's a lot of teams that will want to take advantage of it, maybe snag an elimination.
Two twins getting pushed by the Brazilian duo, and Jesse has gone down. Is that both of them eliminated? I don't see Jordan anymore. Looks like they are both gone, as Saf has picked up one elimination in this game. They were our points leaders coming out of game 1 after that victory royale.
Still in this end game, inventory looking pretty good. He does have a pump, he has a blue SMG, one mobility item, but in this area that might not be what you really want. I mean, obviously you want mobility. You always want mobility. Jamside here on a very high ground, a bit risky. Might have a redeploy though, so you might feel a bit safe.
Poach and Vivid just keeping themselves along the safe area of the map.
Opens the little supply drop here, but won't get the loot. Looks like it ended up on the outside, so takes a little bit of damage here from the stink nades, but Saf and Sage still in it. Try to attack.
Yeah, trying to just get any more eliminations. Still 29 duos remain in this game, so there are a few solos sticking around, and nobody's on the top side of this zone by the Lagoon yet. Nobody has moved to the north. It's such open land, or sorry, not the Lagoon, those are kind of oasis pits that are on the map. Zayt just took down Aspect.
A lot of more European teams here in the end game, which is really nice to see.
More so than in game 1 for sure, and Keenstar's one of the guys that we have our eyes on. Look at where this zone moves. It's up and over the water. As part of the movement here, it's going to make it tricky. Eric just getting an elimination for himself. Big performance in one of his first real competitive situations.
Blacks are just all alone on the north side of the circle, as all these players are just in a brawl here, trying to score some eliminations before we start moving, and here we go.
Jamside with 5 eliminations already in this game. The Russian player has 2 Rift to goes as well. Like, what is this? This is like such a monster game from 7SSK7 and Jamside.
And you can hear so many gliders now. People are just reusing the existing launch pads, recycling. There's a lot of action going on, actually. You know, when you're up there flying around, you're in a pretty bad spot as well, because a lot of players will try to fire upon you. High ground going down there.
Nero does end up falling as the 7SSK7 did just get dropped too. Zayt and Safir are leaders that we're following on. Some important eliminations, and they start to tick down as Myth just picked up Vivid in the kill feed. That's a big clash of names in the scene. And look, Myth and Cloud still alive on the left side. I think they might be surprising people in this.
Yeah, Jamside just used a Rift to save himself from falling down from high ground. I just love that good reaction time. Bissell going down.
Bissell fell, but Vinny and Zexro still alive. They were one of the duos that we said could very well take this entire thing. And Myth and Cloud from the sky is trying to drop back down. They've got to go past the Brazilian duo at the top of History and Far. As Cloud, look at him take shield damage and just drops through. And good timing for History to keep himself alive up on this high ground.
Not a lot of mats here, so I'd like to see them maybe drop down and get a bit more aggressive here or use some existing buildings to their advantage. A lot of players on low ground just dropping like flies right now. Fwexy going down.
Yeah, Fwexy gone down. Razuru was knocked as well, as there is the elimination. Cloud gets knocked down. Beehive picking up a bunch, as does Cripper at this point. And Zayt trying to build up, does get Fwexy in that situation.
Coffin B have
just down though.
Coffin B have just going ham. They have about 6 eliminations right now. And on top of the placement points, that's a lot of points to rack up.
Far and History all the way at the top of this zone as Jamside and SSK7 are trying to get down. That vent pops him back up and allows him to reposition. Will get into another position. The trap, however, does activate. Where is it? We didn't see it actually get put down.
Jamside, the only person on high ground right now, is all the other players. Well,
and History got dropped at the bottom here. Beehive taking a lot of damage. There's pop rockets going off everywhere. Nobody can hear a thing, but there are 5 eliminations between Vinny and Zexro as we're down to 7 players. Vinny and Zexro both in pretty good situation here, although they are on the low ground. It's Coffee, Beehive, Jamside, Vinny, Zexro, and Sky still alive on this one as Beehive is eliminated from this game. Vinny gets Coffee down to 4. 3 duos remain, and it's a 2v1v1 as Jamside trying to find any kind of angle that he can on this fight. Surely this has to be Zexro and Vinny's to lose at this point. The only duo that remains, but they don't have the high ground. Jamside takes a lot of damage. Good trade from Vinny. It's now a 2 versus 1 as Jamside has fallen. Where is Skype? He can't survive. Gets taken out. Vinny picks up the victory royale with Zexro.
That was a pretty good endgame. A lot of players just dropping and dropping. That was, I mean, that's probably we've only had 2 games so far, but that's my favorite endgame so far.
9 eliminations from Vinny and Zexro. And the victory royale, that is an insane number of points to start putting up.
A lot of these players at the end, a lot of the teams in the end, I mean, we were just jumping from perspective to perspective, and I just saw a bunch of eliminations, spread across all of these late game teams.
Yeah, I'd love to rewatch it and see what the influence of that new zone was, where you got that kind of the Oasis pods. I wonder whether that is a factor or not, or whether it was just the movement of the fight, but really solid endgame.
Yeah, solid endgame from everyone involved there, but once again, it's the North Americans that are doing the work at the moment. Vinny and Zexro, I mean, Vinny's just loving Poland at the moment, right? I mean, he won the solos yesterday, he's moved on to the duos today. Took him 2 games before he picks up another win. And not only that, gentlemen, 9 eliminations along the way. That's got to be our highest point total so far the entire time we've been in Poland, possibly.
Thinking about it, I don't think anyone's hit 9 eliminations plus the victory royale. Yeah, I think you might be right on that.
Yeah,
Look
huge
at the
points.
Stats run.
Yeah, we'll get someone else to do it, someone who's cleverer than we are. But, I mean, it's a fantastic endgame. We were talking about how the North Americans came out swinging in game number 1. Towards the start of the game, they started taking each other out, which kind of helped the Europeans a little bit. That's one way we can kind of get around it. But, again, towards that end game, there were so many players involved. And the thing that was so interesting for me was how most of the duos involved in that end game had so many eliminations to their name before they even got to that end game. Look at Jamside and SSK7. I mean, they had, what, 7 or 8 eliminations to their names before they even went down. you're really seeing some serious aggression starting to come in from these players.
Coffee B have as well, European players. I believe they had 7 eliminations. We did see a lot of European teams, though, at the in the end game. Didn't really make it to the Royale section, though. But I mean, still a lot of points. I expect to see a bunch of them just making their way up to the top 20 now, at least.
It's good. They've woken up. We can just now say, okay, everyone's on the playing field going into Game 3.
Everyone's ready to go, and one player who certainly is performing very well in Poland is the winner of our last game. He's here with his teammates, Vinny and Zexro.
Thanks, guys. I am joined by Vinny and Zexro here, our Game 2 winners. Vinny, Poland, this is the place to be. You're smashing it this weekend.
Yep, I am.
Are you enjoying playing here? Obviously, this is Game 2. You wiped out 10% of the map with 9 eliminations. Zexro, walk me through the game. How did it feel to play it?
Well, our rotations were pretty much perfect. I know we had Bizzle and Demo above us, so we knew they were going to try to take our rotation, so we just played safe, pretty much.
And when you're playing against a stellar lineup like this, 100 players that you know are at the top level, does it change strategy at all for you guys, or you just play the same game you always play?
We play the same game we always play. We make sure to stick together. We have really good synergy. We've been playing with each other for a while now, so we're pretty confident if we get some good loot.
And moving forward as well in this competition, how are you going to continue? Are you going to keep doing what you're doing right now, or do you think we'll change things up as you play, or is it all about adapting? I asked the guys before, is adapting what it's all about in this particular environment?
Well, the teams around us are like switching their play style. Like the last 2 games, they're doing different stuff, so it depends on what they do for what we do.
And I've got to ask as well, Vinny, we mentioned earlier on a tweet you put out the other night saying you just signed for TSM, and this weekend could not have gone any better. The next tweet is, I've won the solos, and now you're doing great in the duos.
Yep, it's awesome representing TSM at Poland.
There we go. Guys, big love to Vinny and Zexro. Make some noise, guys. You're Game 2 winners. Congratulations. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're absolutely killing it. Back to you guys on the desk. What a great game number 2.
It certainly was, Adam. Fantastic stuff from those gentlemen. And again, you know, we're seeing the formula to a few of these post-match interviews at the moment. Nobody getting too carried away with things. Everyone keeping things nice and calm because they know, as we said it before, we're going to say it a lot more times, by the way, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Second game of the day, even with those huge amounts of points on the board, there's so many more points available through the rounds that you can't get carried away with things.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to just keep a level head, say, okay, that's Game 2, still got so many to go, so just got to keep doing it. That's what Vinny was saying, right? It's like, we'll just do our game, and as long as everything around us doesn't change too drastically, that means all they've got to do is find the right loot.
But I mean, he said it does change. I mean, a lot of players are switching up their game style around them, and they mentioned you just got to adapt. It's just like the last interview as well. It's all about adapting, and you can just see the players adapting are the ones who comes out on top.
Well, it seems to be the story of things at the moment, as obviously we can see our duo standings popping up there on this beautiful graphic that's hovering just over the audience, dangerously. Vinny and Zexro there obviously taking home first place there with 145 points. In second place there, Zayt and Saf, they made it towards the end game once more, but third place, my boys, Tomo and Iam, come on.
Tomo and Iam coming up. We haven't even really seen them in the game so far, and they're already in third place. This is how volatile the standings can be. You can see Jamslide and SSK7 jumping up with their solid performance that we saw again. So really just this is going to keep shifting for at least the next few games.
Yeah, and Aspect and Animal in that top 10 as well. They were kind of one of the duos we were talking about before anything got started just a few days ago about players to keep an eye on, players who are going to impress because they've been talked about a lot in the scene.
Far in history, doing pretty well as well. At 13th right now, they've been in the mix both games, and they're actually pretty good, I think, at establishing that high ground and then taking fights. A couple of situations where they just lost out.
Myth and Cloud there as well, moving up the table a couple of places after that last game. So they're going to be looking to improve on that. But, I mean, is this a couple of teams are going to have not had the start that they maybe would have wanted here, Martin. Even with such a long format, with as many games as we have, does it start to come into your mind about maybe changing your drop spot even after a couple of games? Or is it a case of just stay calm, stick with what we know and try and improve on just See some of that in this game. Game number 3 is live. Let's get into this one, gentlemen. It's over to you.
Here we go. Round 3 of the ESL Katowice Royale. And we are dropping in already with Milan and Smeef. A lot of people heading south from where the bus was dropping them off. So that's Windwalker. Milan just drops right on top of the hill and says, okay, chest, that'll do.
Gets a gold P90 and a golden shield. Not much in terms of range, so you can't really do much. You know, you just kind of have to...
That compact SMG, you're like, I'll spray as much as possible, maybe get through some buildings, but as soon as somebody's a few meters away...
baby.
So, double gray AR right now for Vinny. These are our points leaders landing out on the very west side.
So, interesting thing about Vinny and Zexro, they usually land, you know, Viking. They try to control Viking and then Rift out. But I believe in Season 8, the Rifts have been taken out of the mountain. And now they kind of have to switch up their strategy and move around a little bit.
Ooh, power.
137 meter knock.
And Jal picks up the scraps there as they are over on that pirate ship. Easy pickup. I saw a Chug Jug as well in Jarl's inventory, so we'll be able to get his shields up whenever he wants to.
Definitely a very nice pickup early game. You definitely want one easy elimination. That means there's a solo around the area that you can pick off if you can find them.
And if they can find them, that should, as you say, be an easy second elimination for the game. Milan is going to push on towards via Linen. And it does get that double stairs, but there's that crossfire.
Yeah, you've got to cover your left flank, otherwise you're exposed to that third party.
And it just turns the engage around, right? Milan now has to stop. He has to use that mini potion and try and get any kind of advantage. Bottle rockets, sensory, almost deprivation going to come through with these bottle rockets because it's really difficult to hear when they're raining in.
Not to mention the clingers coming in. There's a lot of audio pollution going on around the area.
Look, we're just putting on a fireworks display over in Salty, okay? Like, that's what all people want. It's not November, but, you know, I guess July 4th is closer than Fireworks Day in the UK.
Yeah, NA, July 4th. We love our fireworks.
And it seems like Milan does as well in that area. So one of the areas that is new for Season 8, Sunny Steps, has some decent loot here.
Yeah, I haven't had too much of an opportunity to, you know, play the game and, like, find the different loot spots around here. But just from a brief, you know, first-hand impression, there's a lot of chests here. I believe there's 20 chests in the area. So plenty of loot for these duos. 2 people contesting it at the same time to get nice and comfortable. Nice little loadout for early game.
So much brick as well. So much. You can just farm as much as you need. And you can see Seth just trying to rain a hail of grenades over the top. And that just means their opponents are going to back away down the cliff. Just say, nope, don't want this fight. And that's one thing that just duos is going to be like this, is the disengage is king in the early game.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of duos talk about this. In solos, you don't really have that person in your ear saying, hey, take a step back, let's get out of here. In duos, you do have that guy in your ear telling you, you know, this isn't a smart play, let's get out of here. Let's disengage. Let's be the smart player in the situation.
In solos, the one on your shoulder is the W key. It's just like,
the W key and the...
Press me.
Just talking over that S key.
Nobody uses the S key in solos at this point. So, Loot Lake was one of the areas we were looking at. That was where Metro typically drops, and also Saf. So their duos have kind of been hands-off each other for these 3 games so far.
I mean, it's a smart play by both duos. You definitely want to respect everyone in this lobby. You don't want to take a fight because there's a lot of talent here.
Yeah, there is.
You're not going to win 7 out of 7 fights if you know, fight every single game.
Yeah, now we're seeing Korean duo Aim Hero and FaxFox. They've talked
Aiden
about
pushing in.
Landing tiltedness, yeah. Aiden pushing in. We'll see where Nick Mercs is as well, but Aim Hero and FaxFox under a lot of pressure at the top of this building. Trying to find any angle they can. Ooh, Excalibur has gone down to, I think that was Aiden that actually gets that down. And Keolis trying to get his way out. Excalibur is down. The Clingers, cling, 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 go the Clingers. And FaxFox is going to be able to finish off that duo.
FaxFox ended up getting 2 eliminations there, but Ghost Aiden and Nick Mercs hovering around the low ground, very healthy. Aim Hero, 50 HP, no shields. Very tough situation. He does manage to get down to a campfire, but you know, there are sharks in the water.
Yeah, there definitely are. They're circling. FaxFox actually only got the 1 elimination from that. Agree. It did look like 2 came up, so I wonder whether it was Aiden and Nick Merckx that actually got the second from that. We will eventually end up seeing Nick Merckx and Aiden's perspective throughout this game, I'm sure, unless they would have fallen to Aim Hero and FaxFox in this exchange. More clingers come out. You can hear them sticking to the side of these buildings as Aim Hero bails out of the top.
So this is what I was talking about before, right? You have that duo in your ear telling you, hey, let's back off, let's reposition. I'm sure Nick Merckx was in Aiden's ear saying, hey, don't push the high ground. Aiden, a very aggressive player, always loves to push the high ground, but ended up backing off here to the low ground.
And that's one thing that perhaps less so than other formats, pure aggression is not rewarded as higher in a placement-based format like this, where it's about getting the mix of eliminations and placement. You can't just run into every engage, get 4 eliminations and then lose, because if you're out of the placements, you only get 20 points that game. Absolutely.
Every engagement is not going to be ideal. Nick Merckx recognized that, and that's why he wanted to go for a better positioning here, but they end up running into Imagine.
Kai'Sa coming in from the side here, a new challenger approaches as Aiden and Nick Merckx down in the bottom of that building. You can see FaxFox and Aim Hero have rotated out towards the top of this, and we're getting the X-ray view of this fight as Majin does get that stink grenade out, trying to just push the duo out of this building, try and get a better position. Of course, Aiden and Nick Merckx are so used to fighting in all of these buildings that you have to wonder whether that gives them that edge.
Yeah, Majin and Kai'Sa in shambles, no shields really. They have to kind of, step on the brakes. They can't really take this. And Nick Merckx and Aiden do end up with shield.
And I think that there we talk about that experience of knowing the where and when to pick fights, backing away from that exchange. It was Aiden that picked up that other elimination that we were talking about. We jump all the way to a different location as Aries and Bowman are in this situation, as is Forward Norwood. That's Aries' duo, and I will say that name every single time he's on screen, as Aries loses half of his health, all of his health almost, as Norwood from the top is going to try and help him out.
Norwood's controlling the high ground, but dropping down to reunite with his duo.
Yeah, Alpha has tried to heal up a little bit himself, and Aries is in such a rough spot. Really rough, as Aries has just been down, so as this one continues, there's a rift to go here for Norwood. We'll see whether he ends up using it to get into the zone once he has brought back Aries.
Norwood does have the HP to get his duo up, but the moment they rift, these players are waiting for them, ready with their AR to knock them down. They're not going to have any shield. They're not going to have any health to pop. It's going to be a really tough situation to get out of.
Yeah, over the top go the explosives from Madsen, trying to find Sinnoh and Envy, our South Korean duo, and a lot of the building gets taken down on the build-up to this fight, and that means Sinnoh is trying to find his way out of this situation. From both sides come the SMGs, and they haven't quite found it yet, as he's very, very low is Sinnoh, now stuck in the same box as Klingers come through from the top. Envy now is the new target from Madsen as he edits through, gets the shotgun, and is going to pick up this elimination.
Just the unrelenting aggression here really secured the kill.
Yeah, Sinnoh went down as well, so that is the duo being picked off. I mean, the early onset of this game as well, still very early on.
Ghost Bizzle and Ghost Demo here still alive. One of our most consistent duos.
They just used the cannon. Bizzle and Demo both use the cannon to rotate out. That's one of the first uses we're actually getting to see on stream of it, utilizing it for those rotations.
Yeah, I think the cannon was a great addition to the game overall. It allows for mobility on all facets of the map.
Run out the guns. BloodX is firing up towards, looked like Polar at that point.
You are in a vulnerable state though while you're cannonballing. Like anyone could just pull out the AR and start taking fire shots at you.
Yeah, it's one of those dangerous moments. Everybody's just firing from this cannon. Who needs rifts? Use cannons instead. A big broadside of players.
It looks like everyone's trying to get up here to Viking Village, just trying to get as central to the zone as possible. This is something typical you see in a pro game. You try to get center zone. That increases your chances of getting the next zone, or at least you don't have to travel that far to get to the next zone.
Yeah, of course it was, as you said, Viking that they were going towards, as we are on with Saf and Zayt. And, a lot of meds in the inventory for Zayt and Saf, and you know they've been performing well in every single game so far.
Yeah, our game one winners. definitely a strong showing. Launchpad if they need to get to the next zone. Plenty of shield. They're in a really good position here. Lots of builds. Really good position for endgame.
Yeah, good mix in the inventory as well. Basically everything that you need. We heard Bizzle talking earlier where it was like AR, SMG, shotgun, shields, and something to rotate as well.
But they do have some neighbors here, Mitro and Kuna, just kind of saying hello with some stinks.
And this is the fight that we've been trying to track and see whether it actually goes down in all 3 games so far. And we've not actually seen Mitro and Kuna too much, other than in the very last part of that first game. Mitro was the last remaining European player alive. He did end up falling before the very end, but Saf and Zate, we'll see whether they end up picking that off. X2 Twins on your screen is a little quiet for the first few games. Got picked off a few times in some tough fights, but we'll see what has led up to this point in the game. This is the fight between Envy and Sinnoh, getting a different perspective on it as Envy actually took down Tixi, so this was a fight we didn't catch earlier. Envy just doing a good job of
this is what I was talking about. You do have that duo to clutch up if you end up going down. There is that little bit of cushion.
I mean, just during the action in the action feed, Zate has already taken down Poach. As this storm starts to close in, and everybody that made their way to Viking suddenly is in a great position.
That's exactly what I was talking about before. You're trying to get center zone every single time to optimize your chances of getting the next circle.
If they can pick off the people coming into the zone, this is a dangerous place to be. Storm Surge is starting to strike from some of these more passive teams. It's going to force them into engagements.
Spenno's here getting ticked by Storm Surge, taking a lot of damage. Every single, lightning bolt just kind of inching him closer and closer to the lobby.
25 damage on every strike. Jesse is still up, but Jordan has been downed in this exchange.
I think Jesse just clutched up.
Looks like
He's full HP with 2 eliminations here. He must have finished off a duo.
Yeah, it looks like that is the case in that situation. The fact that he had the time to bring back his twin, bring back his brother in more than just a game.
Yeah. So we were talking about them earlier. This is kind of a marathon tournament 2 days ago. I think the X2 Twins are just kind of getting the groove of things, trying to, get into the flow, and we're definitely starting to see them more and more in the late game perform better and better.
And there's a lot of hype and expectation on their shoulders, but this really, when you look at an offline setting, is pretty much their first test on that international stage, where you get to see how do we match up against North America, how do we match up against Europe, Brazil, South Korea, China, Japan, everywhere. So we get to see, is the hype going to be validated? And I think we've seen flashes of it for sure. I want to see over the 14 games their final placement, and we get an answer to that.
Absolutely. Speaking of regions, History and Fa from the Brazilian region, History did really good yesterday.
Yeah, 8th place overall. Like, that is such a good performance, and I think a lot of people were underestimating them. Didn't really anticipate a result like that coming
People didn't really know what to expect from South America, but they showed up strong top 10.
And there's something to say for the esports communities in South America that are just such dedicated and vocal fans. Like, it's lovely to see. 7SSK7 just took out the Solary duo, the Airwax and his duo partner. We didn't catch it on screen, but got it on the action feed. And I mean, it's just big game from the Russian duo. We're talking about that international flair, and it really is coming to fruition.
Fa and History kind of in a tough situation. No shields on Fa, and if they really need a circle that does not go up the mountain if they want to keep up in the game.
Yeah, the mountain goats, I know Bola likes to call it, and the moment where you just park yourself on the side of a mountain and say, okay, well, this is where I'm waiting, and now we have to mountain run.
Yeah, nothing claims more lives than a zone that goes over a mountain. The majority of the lobby usually ends up going down to that.
Yeah, you just end up either running into somebody's wall, not finding the way through, or just kind of being at the back of the pack, and you're a bit stuck going up the hill. Very difficult thing to do, and we'll see whether that ends up happening. Zextro and Vinny still in this game. They're dropping down the mountain.
They're actually in a really great position here. The zone ended up going off the mountain, so most of these players on the south side of the region just kind of have an easy rotation into the zone. Most of the players on top of the mountain just have to drop on down. Nice, easy rotation all around.
And they were hovering right around item was there, so a potentially rough fight for Vinny and Zextra if they end up taking it. As
Vinny was a rift and a launch pad in a great position for endgame. Lots of mobility, lots of mass, lots of health. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a really high placing this game as well.
Yeah, it's this situation where they also have some explosives in Zextra's inventory to deal with things. So they're in that situation where, like, you have the tools, but now it's all about putting the furniture together and getting the throne at the end of the game. So it's that moment where, like, really we have to track them constantly because they are so consistent. Keenstar looking for damage as Boyer gets down. Dynamite gets thrown out as Cripper is going to launch pad his way up. Just trying to finish off that elimination is Keenstar. Boyer tries to go out into the storm just to say, no, I'm going to not give you the elimination credit.
Yeah, but Boyer's teammate did a smart play there, which is to disengage. He knew his teammate was down and storm. You know, he has to live to fight another day.
Yeah, and your placement is based on the last remaining member of your duo. It is not on any kind of combination. It's how long do you last? That's it.
Demo and Bizzle game 1. Demo was still alive, managed to get, I believe, top 3 for placement. That's absolutely huge for these duos.
Yeah, it's massive. Placement has such a big impact, but we can't underestimate the kills because those elimination points actually do break a lot of the standings when you start seeing teams shift up and down. And at this point, Beehive and Coffee trying to make their way towards that safe zone. Wexy is trying to lay down some fire while under fire himself.
Ghost is a controller player, ends up taking a couple of eliminations.
Yeah, we've seen his name come up quite a lot in the action feed, getting eliminations, getting those points, and again, those eliminations stick. It's not a format where you have to reach a threshold for eliminations. For those of you watching, perhaps that didn't catch yesterday's games, it's just 5 points flat. Every elimination you get, 5 points added to your total, put it in the bank, and start looking for more.
And I'm pretty sure the controller gang's pretty happy with their performance as well.
Yeah, they seem to be doing well, and Margin is going to basically slide down the side of the mountain.
So at this point of the game, Margin is a solo. It's going to be kind of tough, but you know his focus is not going to be on getting a lot of eliminations. He's just going to try to play as safe as possible, go for those placement points.
And this is very similar to the last game. 7 SSK7 and Jamside still, you know, in the mix up at the top, but Bizzle and Demo trying to RPG that roof structure down. Couldn't quite do it, but it did force Jamside and 7 SSK7. Wow, that's...
This is a really interesting thing to note. Bizzle and Demo have an RPG going into endgame. They're going to be able to retake height at any point if they, you know, coordinate it nicely.
And they also have some clingers. 7 clingers in the RPG should allow them to knock down everybody's high ground.
Those explosives are huge. You can knock down height.
And that's what Demo's trying to peek for. No eliminations for them yet, but they've been picking up a lot in the end game. That's where they've been doing most of their damage. And 7 SSK7 and Jamside ends up dropping. And the fall damage comes through again. I think that was in game 1. He ended up falling and dying to fall damage then.
And that's what I'm talking about. You know, if you have someone on the low ground with an RPG, you're very vulnerable on the high ground to get knocked down like that.
This time, it was a little bit more intentional from Bizzle and Demo than it was earlier on in the day for Jamside. So Bizzle and Demo, they didn't get elimination credit for it, but that means Jamside, one of the contenders, is out. They still looking for that high ground. Violinen will get dropped as Windwalker falls to Zeke. Bizzle and Demo, kings of the mountain right now, all the way up at the top.
Item still alive here on the bottom left. Myth knocked TSM Cloud trying to get up his teammate.
This is one of the first games we're seeing FaxFox and Aim Hero actually get later on. The first 2 games, they actually got eliminated pretty early on, so I'm excited to see what their strategy is in the late game, because really haven't seen it. Going to be a good learning experience. The South Korean players have not been in the high placements so far. Aim Hero does just get Cripper for himself. Still looking at Bizzle and Demo. Launch pad up and onto somebody else's building for now. But look, they've lost the total high ground of being the absolute highest people.
And again, they do have the RPG, but
Bizzle
ends up getting knocked.
Brings down from the side as Demo does pick up Smeef, so that evens up the fight for now. Demo trying to get his way through the wall and just say, I'll res my partner, because Smeef is already getting picked up.
Both duos trying to get their partner up, but the zone is coming on in, and they don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, Demo is low health as well. Oh, Demo's having to leave him. Bizzle's, that's it. Bizzle's done. Demo was not healthy enough to stay in that situation, and now he starts to run. You can see Cloud through the middle and a vertical rocket right up to try and upset Madsen and Seth from the top. Kinsel's trying to make his way up there. I think he just connected some damage onto Seth as well, but Seth has, you know, between them 3 eliminations to their name.
Every team here just trying to control the high ground as best as they can. That is going to be the key here on the mountain zone when it goes over.
Here we go again, though. Saf and Zayt already 4 eliminations. They are under a lot of pressure. The Kling has come out and it's forcing Zayt to move forward. He didn't want to go into that little...
Zexro and Vinny actually ended up taking the high ground.
Yeah, they've reclaimed it again. We talked about their mobility, and now we'll see their healing come through. They've got that campfire, they have the materials, they have the high ground. Can they convert it into a second victory royale? Aim heroes down. They're looking for more from this top side. Zexro has 1 elimination, and everything is stacked up beneath them. But look at the distance between where they're placed on the high ground. Razaro is down. Another rocket rains up into the sky as Shinken and everybody starts to move off this hill. And how far will this storm go? They're reaching the edge of the hill.
We have Zayt going down there. Animal still alive.
Keenstar's still up. Animal does just drop as we talk about it. A little bit of cast a curse, perhaps, as Keenstar and the rest. Madsen does get dropped. I thought dropped, but no, he just lost a lot of health. It looked like he was getting hit by something and took him all the way down, but he got Beehive. Seth is down. Madsen is able to survive for now.
Zexro and Vinny still controlling the high ground, just spraying at anybody who shows their head. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
10 players remain in the barrel, though, and we'll see whether Zexro and Vinny, they were on their own. Zexro picks up the elimination from the top. As Zexro, 3 elims to his name for now. We'll see whether they can drop in and tidy up some more. Only 6 people remain. Vinny does get dropped down to 35 health as Zexro is going to try and build his way down. Has 90 health. Vinny is out of this exchange. So 5 players remain and 4 duos are still in with a running. And it's Cloud that is in here. This would be a big pickup if Cloud could convert this game.
They have 6 eliminations. If they can go for placement at least.
The trap does get set. Stompy picks up that elimination for himself. 1 versus 1. Cloud versus Stompy. Is this the moment that Cloud puts up the results here? Because 4 eliminations on the game. He's on the low ground, but has a decent setup by the looks of it. He just has to make sure he gets this. He's in the storm, and now off the cliff we go. Does Stompy find the angle here from the low ground? He's just waiting for Stompy to peek, trying to break him down, but you can't get through this amount of building for now. Oh no, Cloud! Oh, it takes so much damage! Oh, and he's in the zone! This is catastrophic for Cloud! That's heartbreaking, but Stompy picks it up. Heartbreaking to fall off the back of the mountain. It wasn't fall damage that did it, but the storm was enough, and Stompy, purely through building, survives for the victory royale.
Regardless of how that game ended, TSM Cloud and its strong placement points, strong elimination points for that game.
Yeah, very strong. Like it's actually been a good performance because I don't want to put this in a negative light, but the way that people have discussed the TSM duo has been that, do we expect them to do well? Well, they're doing well. So that's all you can say.
You know, we had 3 in top 5 at one point, 3 TSM members.
Yeah. Yeah, they're performing pretty well, but it's all about Stompy picking up the victory royale through building.
Stompy and Shinken, what a performance that is. The 2 Latvian players as well, so big stuff from them representing As we get into our round number 4, you can see the bus is ready, so let's get into this one.
Let's do this. Match number 4 is underway, and we're already hopping in with Jamside. That's one of the players that I was talking about here. He was so strong in those first 2 games.
You know what's funny? They go Paradise every single time, starting from the skirmishes. I remember competing against them in Paradise. I was like, you know what? Nah, not really. They're super aggressive. I don't want to jump there. I don't want to have that early contest with them. They're really pushy when it comes to the early game. They're bullying everyone who lands there.
I talked to a lot of players who were kind of interested in dropping Paradise or Palms, and they all decided, hey, there's actually way too many players going here, but actually we're only seeing 2 or 3 teams now, maybe 4, possibly, but already picking up the hunting rifle, landing on that guaranteed weapon.
Infantry ready to pick up and already shooting with it, right? But that's a great strategy against Storm Surge. Even if you're not going to knock anyone down there, you get the early game damage, so you don't have to worry about the Storm Surge later on.
And before this game, I was mentioning exactly how much Storm Surge is affecting all these players. We're seeing it tick more than ever.
Bobit already died to history!
Oh no. So we were looking for Poverty and Zeke. They were playing so well as well. They got a few eliminations in a very sticky situation on Viking Hill the other day. And then Coffee and Beehive as well. They're in the top 5, kind of landing here in Pleasant. There's only 1 team contesting here, but here's Cloud and Myth on to Max Salibra and Keolis. This is one of the teams that was dropping tilted against Nick Merckx, Aiden, FaxFox, and all those players. So we'll see how this engagement goes. This is probably unfamiliar territory here for Cloud and Myth as they try to hunt down where these players are going. And there goes Cloud. Some compact SMG spray right to start off.
Cloud with the good inventory right now. Blue Pump and Infantry can be used as a interchangeable weapons. Nice shot, 82 damage going down.
That's exactly what you need. You need that those first shots going into an engagement like this, because then you're going to be able to push and take exactly the position you want.
That's the confidence boost you need in those early game engagements, but those trees are getting in the way, a lot of cover. All right, we'll see if Myth pushes with Cloud. He is.
Okay, here we go. Myth going up. Actually, Max Salibra already has a little bit of high ground there. He's trying to get those clingers, but it's not going to work. Cloud is going to take him out, so it's just now onto Keolis. He's actually all the way away. Not sure where he's going. They were not together at all. They kind of got split, and that's really good, Lothar. Exactly what Cloud and Myth need to do.
By the way, that clinger, did it hit him?
Nope.
Like his own one? But it was very close. Now, next fight between Hupek and Skix.
It's 2 1v1s here. Hupek onto 0-7 and Lil J onto Skix. They actually have Lil J pinched. If they realize this, Hupek can take great advantage of it. But no, 0-7 is going to keep Hupek occupied, and he dies. He goes down right there.
Super low HP on Hupek was really looking hard for him. But now the Skix, will he redeem it?
All alone. He needs to find at least Lil J right now. If he can find him, that's going to be the exact time he needs. There he goes. He gets the knock. He's going to be able to finish him. But here comes 0-7. He's coming through with that silence. He does get the finish, but that tactical shotgun doing so much work right now. Skix, just one more shot he needs to get on there. And now over towards this new area here. Include is actually down, or no, Marana already down. Include trying to pick him up. Seth has just a few seconds to get it. They do get the pickup, and he's going to be able to block him off. Nice play there. Seth all alone onto these 2 players.
No builds available as well. He was trying to finish off the duo because he knew he has the advantage, but without any builds possible, he couldn't push the high ground. Now we're switching back to Paradise between Virtus Pro and the Brazilians.
And so we talked about how quickly the engagements happened in Paradise. Immediately grabbing that infantry rifle. We saw Zeke and Poverty go down already, the Brazilians. Now it's all up to the VP team here. Jamside and SSK7 finding a low ground position. Oh, he's actually so close right here. History can find some shots, but no, SSK7 covers him from the back.
The damage pretty low, still at over 100 HP, but those great tacticals might be doing a lot of work right now.
They're all over the map. Everybody's got one. And now on to Tilted. Aim Hero and FaxFox pushing on to Aiden. Nick Merckx down below as well.
Aim Hero with the massive build over the entire Tilted. Stink Bombs doing massive work as well, zoning out the opponents, giving the information. It's like a wall hack.
That indeed it is. You're able to get those ticks and find exactly where he is, but I don't think we did tick onto Aiden. Nick Merckx just staying right down there. I believe he might have a sniper rifle, trying to hit one nice cheeky little shot.
He also, Aim Hero here has a launch pad just to have a backup plan if anything goes badly. Now
Aiden is such an unfortunate position here. Nickmercs needs to try to join him there. He is going to be able to do it, and they're going to fall back into the building. This is exactly what they always do. Unfortunately, this building is kind of small, so they're in a rough position. They need to try to back up.
Look at Prism, though, getting that flank from the east. They're going on the hill. They have a really good angle towards the Koreans.
Aim Hero actually realizes that. You can see he's already looking towards it. He's aware. He knows. He signals to his teammate Fox to disengage here, go down as Nickmercs and them as well. Actually, Vivid and Poach on the Beehive and Cafe here in Pleasant Park. And this is going to be a nice fight here. They need to kind of finish this off if they want the loot from Pleasant Park. It's not really enough for two duos. Here comes Cafe. Does get the nice shot. That is Vivid onto Cafe. And this is a nice play here, and a very important one as well. Poach takes out Cafe. Now, all to find just Beehive. Let's see if they can survive here. Not sure where they do finish that elim. There,
so
nice
there
shot.
it is, nicely.
That's all about opening up the sidewalls and everything there, Lothar. They had so many angles.
That is true. We actually did talk about Pleasant Park specifically, but we don't have time.
There's
so many
so
early
much
game
action.
engagements in the beginning. Now Ghost, Bizzle, and DMO are getting against Valiant and Windwalker, the Finns.
And over towards the middle of the map between Retail and Salty here, right around Divot. And this is going to be center zone from the looks of it.
They're replacing the entire hut, which is a great strategy. If they're in the middle of the circle, they can just wait it out. Depends on the inventory, of course. The context is important.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of mats, but you can still have an entire building to replace, you can get, let's say, a saving account when it comes to your mats that you can just then use for rotations.
There they are, Tyovsky and Nero onto Skite and Vato. They're trying to chase them down. I'm not sure whether they're in zone. We'll see in a second here. And they're also getting engaged from the side. Maybe that's Vato. Yes, it is. They're very split here, and they're trying to get towards zone.
The Stream team is one of the most aggressive duos here in the lobby, so I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go for Nero and Tyovsky. But Nero, no, that's Tyovsky with the heavy sniper can make a great opening. If he hits someone for 150, that's not a knock. It's just like a message. We should go anywhere.
Yeah,
we should be aggressive.
We just saw Bizzle and Demo onto Vialanen and Windwalker. They were backing up. They were chasing them down actually already. There was so much action here, Lothar. Just all over the place. Camo and Issa just cleaning up a fight here. And now, I was talking about this. Bizzle and Demo kind of chasing them down and then letting them disengage. How do you balance, Lothar, the positioning versus getting those eliminations if you can? They got early tags, but they decided, hey, I want to back off. How do you balance that?
I think that depends mainly on your drop location. If you know that there are people who can be close or rotating already in the 2-minute mark, you might not be pushing so much, especially on the high ground. You might be looking forward to just be low ground, taking those angles and get that chip damage in. But at the same time, if you know that your position is pretty safe and you can just get into that engagement early game, you will push. But now we're switching back to Tilted Towers. Look at the amount of teams that we have in Tilted right now.
We're going to see a replay here. Cloud onto... This is the engagement early in Lonely Lodge. And Cloud and Myth cleaning up Max Aliber. Keyless got away. See, no, they didn't end up. Here's Sunny Steps. A nice shot from Seth. But no, the unique team taking him down. They win Sunny Steps here.
He was in a really bad spot. No builds, couldn't block any shots, couldn't like just defend himself, basically.
And we saw that clutch from Skix as well. Now, back into Tilted, Zexero and Vinny. One of our leaders. There's Bowman and Alpha, Fax Fox and Aim here. There, it's split between 4 different duos here. And you can see Aiden and Nickmercs, the veterans here, actually taking the garage, which is something you don't normally see from them. They tend to take a better building than just the garage. Maybe like the basketball court or something like that.
Makes sense. There's a lot of mats that can replace. All depends if they have the inventory full or not. Where they're pushed outside by someone, they have to take this one, but you can see them replacing. Yeah. And this might indicate they want to just camp it out, see the next zone because it's pretty close, right? And they can just turtle it up and expand.
And Mitro and Kuna as well doing exactly the same thing. But they are in that zone. They're centered. Look at that loadout. He already has that legendary RPG. That's going to be so strong going into the end game.
Even with like 2 rockets, it's worth the slot.
Right.
It guarantees you a retake on the high ground, which is something like, you know what's funny? We don't see grenades anymore because they got vaulted and we have clingers instead, but you can use clingers the same way we were using rocket launchers before. They can just be a high ground retake utility item that has faster fire rate than the rocket launcher itself.
Exactly. You can target the clingers perfectly to take out high ground exactly on each little individual build.
And with the new ping system, you can even indicate to teammate where exactly you're pointing at.
That new ping system, definitely a very valuable tool in duos right now. And Tyovsky and Nero actually going down to another one of the Lestream teams. Not the ones they were chasing down, but actually the Vic and Blacks.
You know what? Blacks who got a double kill with a trap and a shotgun. We can see, post factum, what happened here. There's a lot of loot, there's a lot of clingers. Look at this, 10 clingers in his inventory and still some lying around on the ground. So
that's another thing with the clingers. You can just take so many. And here's Zexor and Vinny. They're trying to get a few tags. Look how slow, look how not that far above the zone, the Storm Surge threshold they are, only 18 above. So they're trying to get all the tags they can. And that's what we're talking about. People are starting to adjust to how it's actually working out in duos. They definitely need to be above that Storm Surge.
Another fight. This is salty. Is it? Yes, it is.
Salty.
So many buildings replaced, man. Yeah. It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't even look like it at all. And actually, Kuna and Mitro, one of the things, that building is so strong because it does provide the brick. Not every single house around in each of the towns, in Pleasant, in Retail, and here in Salty, do provide brick. And that's one of the more valuable resources because you can find wood anywhere.
That is correct. The damage threshold on the Storm Surge for them was actually quite okay, plus 63, which is fine. Now we have seen 72 hours in the Storm with Chap fighting.
So low HP right now. He needs to try to get out of zone. That's going to be, they're going to keep him in there, but he's actually going back in. He's trying to let his teammate Chap. He's trying to buy some space for him, but he's so low HP. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. I think he just barely has enough HP as long as he doesn't get tagged at all.
But he's staying in the zone. That's so tough. He's like, what, 5 HP?
That's not what you want if you're 72 hours. This team, Isma and Lolito, he does go down the zone. Chap has to save. It's all on the Chap right now.
Chap has to clutch it, then get the
Took the
revive.
vent and left.
Yeah.
That's the decision.
Abandoned 72 hours, man. I mean, that's a tough decision that sometimes you have to get, to choose from.
Yep.
And, well, it's worth it. You need to play for placement. The point system rewards consistency.
Exactly. Rewarding consistency, and 72 hours in Trap have been somewhat consistent. They're not having the big games that they need for the all the points they have, but they are not too far. But actually, Funk Bomb and Nate taking Storm Tick damage right now. That Storm Surge being it's doing so much to these players. And now Nate actually making a little bit of a mistake there because of the Storm Surge, but he only has 2 more ticks.
He has the Storm Surge on him. That's 25 damage every 5 seconds or something like that. So it's gonna be pressuring them. They need to get those damage.
That's unfortunate. Hunter and Kinstar realize exactly what's going on. They say, okay, we're not that far above the threshold, but we realize you're getting ticked and we're not. And so they just backed up and bought all the time they need. And here, they're going to actually take their box.
Good strategy. Good strategy. They have the sound cues. They have the visual cues as well for the Storm Surge. But now, FaZe is left with 1 player, so the Storm Surge is done. And now he can be more passive.
Right. When the Storm Surge does end up taking you out, you don't get knocked. You just get out, eliminated from the game. And their Jamside actually taking out Myth and Cloud in quick succession.
And it's still so far away from the points for placements. We have 38 teams. The first teams that get placement points are 25th.
Right. And so actually, Funk Bomb, this is exactly what he needed. Getting that supply drop. We'll see if he gets some health, some heals, some mobility, all the stuff that he needs to get into the end game. And actually, who's this on top of the hill? It's Dementos and Fuxy. They're using the cannons onto Animal.
That's a very big meta change, by the way. This hill was always good, right? Yep. But now, with the Pirate outpost that we have it actually makes so much sense to camp it out.
It really does.
There's like 5 layers already when it's being built. You can build over it, and now you have rotational item as well being just in the cannon that you can shoot.
I really like there that strat that he's opening the edit every time he takes a shot, and that's really nice, minimizing the chances that he's going to take any damage. You can see here we go. Oh, he's going to launch himself.
Fish sticks in the cannon.
And now he needs to go himself. We'll see if he's going to be able to. He actually has 2 Ripticos as well, so there's mobility.
Oh no! Oh my! What happened?
Unfortunately, he hit the ceiling, so it kind of blocked him, and now his teammate's all alone. So this is the thing, using the cannons. Maybe the strategy is to take 2 cannons instead, so that you can launch at the same time. Because again, it's not as accurate as doing a launch pad or anything like that. You can't choose where you're going to go. You just have to aim perfectly,
and then you just fly and pray.
Exactly. One of the things I was worried about there with the cannon was it's a tool, just like any other explosive, to force engagements on people. Animal there, right above Boyer and Kripa, could have done that, but there's Skite and Vato. We saw them earlier. They're kind of alone in a box, and that's a little risky on the edge of zone. When they're all the only people on the side of zone, guess what? They're a target.
Yeah. And now, good hits on the gliding player. but it's still like they're in a good position right now.
Yeah, actually, Saf takes out Skype. They landed right next to Zayt and Saf. And we'll see if he's going to be able to take out Vato as well. Yes, he does go down. So 2 elims for Zayt and Saf. That was risky for them. They're going to go ahead and use that launch pad as well, the Vic and Blacks.
I think it's a good decision. Even though you take some damage from the Storm, you guarantee you're going to rotate to the next zone, so they can just play right now a little bit more passive. But at the same time, if someone sees that and destroy the launch pad,
yeah,
might be rough.
There's Item and Tomo Bizzle as well. I don't see Demo, but Item and Tomo doing very well. Item placing, I think he placed 10th yesterday in the solos. Tomo played very well as well, so we're going to keep that eye on them. They're also high up in the standings currently.
Great strategy to sit on your floor underneath a pyramid, because that allows you to have really good vision, but at the same time, you have great opportunity to be just super quick on your shotgun blast.
Right. Indeed, you can just pull that edit at a moment's notice and take the shots. You see a lot of players taking advantage of that right now, but the Diamond actually going to blow up his own structure. That's unfortunate for him.
Unlucky. And yeah. Oh no, that bandit got interrupted.
Oh no. So regardless, here, Issa and Camo have a great position. They've been in this house for a majority of the game right now. We saw them get eliminations early in Salty, and then they've been here ever since. And look at the structure, Lothar. All the way up. They get, look how far he's editing up. He's been editing up for a few minutes now, it feels like.
Yeah, well, you know, they had a lot of savings, as I said, in the bank
Talked
account.
about it. Recycling the materials. That's exactly what you can do. Somebody can stay down below farm while the other player stays up and hides, or and spots and make sure nobody pushes you.
Yeah, and this is the Storm 5. And we still have above 50 players in the lobby. The Storm Surge will do work for some people. Now we have to pay close attention who will be the target, because he will start being the aggressor.
That's correct. Here, Kinstar and Hunter, they have that legendary RPG as well, the Rift to go. They're going to be in a good shape.
Fantastic inventory. Epic, heavy AR, good shotgun, still the Rift to go. They're really looking to be in a great position right now. But Animal is being tagged by the stink bombs.
You can't escape Kripa and Boyer. And now Villix and Kinzel also joining in on the fun. He's just going to make a mess for Animal. Let's see what he can do. Here's Issa and Camo again. These controller players, they're playing so well. They're one of the only EU teams in the top 10 right now. Well, no, actually, that's false. In the top 5, sorry. EU is just on the edge of the top 5. They're all ready to pounce. Just in striking distance. We talked about being in striking distance yesterday.
You just triggered the chat, man.
I did, yeah. Absolutely.
It's never gonna end. Razuri just finished Shinken. They did so well in the previous game.
Shinken and Stompy up as well. You can see them in the background. Kinstar and Hunter as well. Vinny and Zexo still up. Nikov and Airwax. This is one of the teams that we're looking out for. A lot of the players who were playing very, very well in practice. Look at all that loot.
That loot is free real estate.
I think that's Razaru's spoils if he wants to go for it. No,
well,
Skix is going to get it.
Pick it up. You know what's interesting? This
Tomo grabbing Blacks there. That's a nice pickup.
Wanted to say something about the zone, but those shots connected so well. Kripa with the finish on the Byakusu from last stream. Now this zone is actually pretty cool for the players because it's flat land, so you will not have like a lot of challenges when it comes to the vertical positioning.
Look at all the players right now on the mini-map, just getting into zone, getting into that half-in, half-out zone. We're at 48 players remaining, 29 teams up, so 5 more need to go down in order for the points to, or sorry, 4 more. And they're all already getting in the zone, rotating early. That's so good for everybody, and that's one of the reasons we're seeing so many players in these end games now.
Yeah, and Svenos is using his grenade launcher. I think this is the best timing.
Oh, Issa went down.
Grenade launcher is using it right now. Tomo and Item. I think dead in the middle. Great position. No, what just happened there?
I don't know. 3 players.
That was Svenos' grenade launcher that just destroyed like 3 people.
Just knocked it all down. We saw the big structure that they had early, Issa and Camo, and now the first moving zone is revealed. There it is in the bottom right.
45 people alive.
This is going to be, he's looking for it. He wants it. No, he's actually baiting it. He's going to try to take some shots on the motor now, but no, he has to block his black. I can't speak, but it's okay. Here it goes.
It's all good, but that window was actually very frightening to open since there were so many people that could have looked at him. But now, Felix with that nice...
He just snuck up on
spray.
them with the silence SMG. He takes down Safta.
Because
no
it's
shield.
silence. He's able to sneak up on them.
Sneaky player there, but again, Zayden Saf on high ground. This is what we always see. And remember, they have the Rift to Goes. We saw had 2 earlier and a launch pad, so they're in such good position.
Oh, he can straight jump down on that launch pad.
So many players flying right now. Everybody using mobility. Everybody using it because it's just going over flat ground. It's not too much, but there's Mitro and Kuna taking high ground of their own. See, Ryux and Marky, see if they're going to be able to get over towards... No, they're going to fall.
Oh,
Ryux, so much damage.
They didn't take lethal damage there.
And that's something we've seen a lot of players who take a high ground a little too early, but there again, he gets knocked down. Not too much damage again, but Mitro and Kuna are starting to connect.
Mitro has the rocket launcher and the dynamite. He will be able to control the high ground so well with it, but he just lost it.
But here we go. He has the RPG. He can still... Kuna is fighting. No, he's going to say, Kuna, please get down. I don't want to fight them. They're just too aggressive on this build fight here.
Provoked and Tux on the highest possible high ground. I don't know what's their inventory, but they can control it as well now.
Zayden Saf still up. Zexro, Vinny still up. I see as well. Mitro and Kuna, we already talked about them. Bizzle's up. Nikov and Airwax up. Tomo item as well. There's so many good players up still. And this is what we talk about. All these players always get into these end games. Here goes Tux. They're going down a little bit.
They have a launch pad still. They're not using it yet.
Just joining up with Mitro and Kuna right now. There's still so many players here. We're watching everything rotate. Now all the builds go through. Everybody's with the tunnels here.
What a great view. Honestly, this looks fantastic. Nikov just got knocked by a rocket launcher, got the damage from it, but still alive. Now Mitro reloading that rocket launcher, getting that.
This is it. This is the moment.
Rocket.
They need to try to push for Hark. No, they're not going to do it. They're just going to knock him down. They have another opportunity later. Remember, he has one more rocket at least. And there, all the explosives on the mid ground. This is going to be really risky now for Provoked and Tux up on high ground.
A lot of players being eliminated right now. All those explosives are paying off for being held in the inventory for the late game. Provoked still on the high ground with Tux together. There's nice synergy. They have really good position to have a free shooting range.
Yeah, and Saf and Zay are still up right now. They use both of their rifts, right? But this is just chaos down on low ground. It's actually going to go quite up on high ground. Vinny here trying to take this last Elam, but he has no mat, so he's going to be in trouble going over this. If he needs to get elimination. No, he goes down.
He whiffs this shot.
Tux and Provoked still on high ground, but guess who's there? Zayden and Saf again, but Zay gets knocked down. 9 players remaining.
Remember,
this is it. High ground is so key here. Provoked and Tux just taking all the shots they can. They're getting right to it. Zayt's still up. It's also the VP player, S7SSK7, against Provoked and Tux. So it's a 2v1v1. It's going down to the wire here.
He found the time to reload. That heavy sniper might be crucial to replace a wall. There's another kill. SSK on Zayt.
It's all up to SSK7 to stop Provoked and Tux here. They're on a tear. They have 4 elims to their name. They're looking for the last one. SSK7, we'll see what he's able to do. Does not have his teammate, so he's got to clutch up big. Here goes Provoked from 2 sides. He does
nice
the shot, and he's going to finish it here. Yes!
Oh, my.
Tux gets him. The nice pinch there, Lothar. That's exactly what you want to do in those endgame situations.
Look, oh, the clutch. They were like destined to do well in that end game. They regained the high ground from the opponents. They were just sitting there comfortably, but also controlling the entire vision so well.
That's exactly the type of endgame we love to see. We saw Zayden Saf pull one of those off as well when they ended up high ground, high ground, high ground, getting a few elims, letting the players down below fight, and then ending up pinching down below. That was perfect from them. That was absolutely beautiful.
Well done, well done. And you can see how players are required to play smart because they're not getting the inventory mats for kills.
And
for elims, of course.
And there you can see Tux and Provoked. Provoked on the left, Tux on the right. They're so happy discussing that game, talking about what went right, and everything went right.
I think it couldn't have gone better for them. To be honest with you, you just felt like as soon as that end zone sort of closed in, they just seemed to be in the best. Let's get into this one, gentlemen. I'm excited for this. We've only got a few rounds to go.
Let's go, Lothar. We're so excited here going to round number 5, and it's actually Tomo and Item we're going to start with because they are doing so well, Lothar. They're up in the standings.
They're going up, and they have a great position to actually getting, like, you know, the initial damage for against Storm Surge. Look at this. If he would have had an AR, probably would have start shooting at people just flying over to Pleasant Park. Now we're back to VP. By the way, they jumped from position 8 to position 3 right now after the previous game. 2 consistent finishes for them back-to-back.
Third place right now. That's really nice to see. And one of the strong things about it is because they are winning Paradise. You get so much loot here. It's such a strong position. That's why everybody, we talked about it last time, that's why everybody wants to come here. But now,
jumping to
the same fight we saw the other day, or earlier, Lil J versus 07. They're getting the advantage, taking out Hupek first, and it's just Skix now. But he does get the first win, and I think this is actually going to go in the advantage of the Chinese team here. Last time it went, I think it was Skix who clutched up against both of them.
To be honest, Hupek and Skix not really performing well so far.
We just had that question.
They have to switch it up. You know, it's just not working out. Lucky landing is not lucky landing for them. But let's talk about this zone. This is a south zone, which is also like getting a little bit of the water. So it's getting the people closer to each other. But now we're at Frosty Flights, where we have Stumpy and Shinken, the duo that you wanted to see perform well.
Yeah.
And they're against Ryux and his teammate Mark.
Don't.
Oh, never mind. Well,
what just happened?
What just happened here? I think he got shot down like he was just standing on a one wall.
Okay. Regardless, Shinken and Stompy here in Frosty Flights. This is one of those spots that has so much loot. I don't think they realize that Marky is down. So Ryux is going to try to sneak around. They're all in the house. We'll see if Shinken does get up on the high ground. That's one of the tactics in duos. Kind of just grab a piece of high ground and then you're able to spot everything. But no, they don't know he's there. So Marky Locuras is going to get picked up, and they're going to have a chance here against Stompy and Shinken.
He still has 1 mini to give to his friend. Oh, actually, he's at the 100 armor.
Fall damage it was off of the side of that iceberg there.
Yeah, the shield is still there. They can still take the fight, but now Stompy with a great loadout, a blue shotty and an AR, and also the disco bombs. Very underrated item, especially early game.
And so we'll see whether they decide to engage. This is actually, I think Heretics, the team here, has the bigger loot pile, so actually they might have the advantage in terms of loot. We'll see, though. Shinken and Stompy had much more time since they were actually picking up his teammate.
He's trying to find the 10 seconds to pop off the medkit so he can get back the 70 HP that he lost after the fall damage. But now Shinken with the clingers gonna interrupt it. And no, he actually got it off.
Nice play there, Marky. Gets it off. One of the things, though, they have had no time to farm. And look at the materials for Shinken. They're in such a good advantage here against these players here, the Heretics guys. And actually, now he's going to try to push, but again, he's running out of materials.
That's 5 materials right now. Oh, the close and the clinger.
It hits him. No, it just extra damage there from the shots after it exploded. And Stompy and Shinken, that's their time to strike. They're going to say, let's go. We got clingers. We got the disco.
They have an advantage. He just shot his head for 65. He's pushing. Stompy with those.
Just barely misses Marky as he backs up again, but there he's going to take out Ryux. What was those shots, Lothar? And again onto Marky as well, and Stompy saves the day.
Clutches it and regains 100 HP at the same time, goes from 55 to 155. Great play by him. He didn't get intimidated after he got lasered in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and so here we have Poverty and Zeke against our third place team. The VP guys, Jam Side and SSK7. And the positioning here, Poverty and Zeke are going to be able to rotate off over towards those risks. But now Nikov and Airwax, again against the Japanese guys. It's Rizard and Llama trying to push onto them. They're not going to be able to manage it. Nikov is going to actually break that down. No, he's connected, so he's okay. Llama does go down to the bottom, though, as the dynamite starts to tick. Airwax on the natural height. That's going to be good for him. That box is going to stay put.
Rizard tries to regain the high ground, but there's a fantastic angle from Nikov. But he's now getting lasered. He needs to bunker up.
Yeah, he comes up from behind, and that was such a nice play there from the Airwax and Nikov duo. Nikov got the angle as Llama tried to push up on Airwax, and now Airwax is going to rotate back over to Nikov and get the double angle onto Llama.
Llama needs to clutch it, otherwise it's looking pretty grim.
Yeah, and we actually did just see Airwax finish Rizard, so he gets the HP bonus there, and Llama is left alone. He has no chance to revive.
He has a lot of builds, but can he clutch it?
See, low HP as well, no shields, and here comes Airwax. They're going for the pinch now. You can see he's already trying to get that edit off, and he's actually going to edit right back on top of him. No,
Pinch
Llama's
and move.
Stuck in the box, and that's just really good timing there. He didn't manage to get that turbo build off.
What can you do when a team just pinces you like that? It's 2 angles like a crab.
Especially such a strong team like Nikov and Airwax.
Yeah. You can see the synergy between those 2 players.
Yeah. And here Funkbomb and Nate against Dementos and Flexi.
Will it be a fatal field for their opponents?
Well, so far the cornfields are definitely fatal as they clear it out with dynamite. That's a new trick that I just learned just now, that you can just use the dynamite to clear it out and make sure that nobody's hiding in there. Here's the first shots going in. Funk Bomb trying to get the hand cannon shots to start.
He also has the purple dualies, which is a fantastic item. But again, no builds for him. He forgets about that. He's getting punished.
Getting punished there, but it's just all up to Nate now. Actually,
he got the finish. He got the 50 HP, but it wasn't good enough. So Nate comes victorious, but without his teammate.
Nate there does save it for them, but unfortunately not for Funk, so he's going to be still in contention. Here's Kaffe and Beehive. We saw them in Pleasant earlier. They're one of the teams that I'm keeping an eye out on as well in the standings. I think they're in 8th or 9th place right now.
Nice sidestep from Beehive to get that high ground from below the ramp. But now Camo has still the high ground. Issa is down below, using the campfire to steal the heal.
Yeah, and this is such a dangerous duo to go up against, Camo and Issa. With Camo on high ground, Issa on low ground. It's actually like a little bit of a pinch in the verticality here, but Zeke and Poverty, we saw them rift away from Paradise, now chasing down Vialanen and Windwalker.
But now they're just at another fight, another day, another fight for them.
I feel like we've always seen Vialanen and Windwalker just running away from fights, people chasing them down, but no, it's going to be Poverty. They're going to stand their ground this time, and here we go. Poverty trying to take shots. He does take a little bit of fall damage, but he's going to go right underneath, try to drop them down through the floor. And now Zeke as well up on high ground.
He wants those pinky shots, man.
Yeah, he just took it. I'm not sure who it was, but now they're in a different situation as this fight starts to slow down a little bit, but Zeke still has it. Windwalker and Vialanen are now split.
They are split. I don't think they have any rifts. There's no way of just getting here without winning this fight.
And so we got the new zone. They have quite a ways till that starts moving, but they are a way away from it. So they're going to decide what the opportunity here is. What is the opportunity cost in terms of position versus getting for this fight? As Windwalker and Vialanen start to turtle.
They have the ultimate low ground.
Ooh.
Oh, but he got just...
How did he get in there? That wall just went down. He gets the edit as well, and Poverty jumps down, but he's not going to finish it. And Vialanen comes from the side, so he wins that. And now it's all up to Vialanen onto Zeke. And he's gonna...
Zeke got it. Zeke got it, but he's alone as well. No, Poppy is still alive with few HP points, so he wasn't finished.
What a clutch there by Zeke. That was so scary as he was running in there. Poverty was... He got that wall, edited it, and then all of a sudden, the team collapsed on him.
And you know what happened later? Vialanen, after the knock, wanted to finish Poverty, so he shot him with the shotgun, but didn't get lethal damage, so he couldn't heal. And I think that was instrumental to his loss.
Indeed. And one thing I just saw in that player update there, Kaffe and Beehive did end up going down, so I assume that's to Issa and Camo, as we did check on them earlier. And so now, Madsen and Seth rotating through that divot, such a scary place to be when you're rotating in the mid game. And guess who they have to go through? It's Skite and Vato.
Power and Joel, the second Fnatic duo here in this tournament. Not doing great so far, but you know, it's just around 5 out of 14, still a lot of opportunities. Madsen and Seth behind them, just using their builds most likely to rotate earlier on, but no, they're going in the other direction, going west.
Yeah, everybody trying to grab some distance in between each other. And as we go through Salty, remember, we saw the zone earlier. It's going down over towards Fatal, all the way south, covering Lucky Landing.
Look at that.
Exactly where we are, Animal and Aspect.
Provoked and Tugs, already on the high ground. They found their spot.
Finding a little bit of natural hill there. It's going to be really nice for them because nobody can build underneath them.
We still have 81 players alive. We're going into the phase 3 of the Storm.
And remember, guys, this is match 5. Actually, Aspect just took out Nate Hill. We saw him. He was a solo earlier, and Faxfox is actually flying in as well. He's by himself.
Rifle from 7 meters. What? That was unexpected.
Nate just flew in. We saw it on the screen, the tail end of it. And again, match 5 out of 7 today, but remember, we still have 7 more tomorrow, so these players are trying to make their last few marks on the day. Try to scare everybody going into the second day here, but Vivid and Poach, they actually grabbed the gas station right outside of Lucky, and that's really good for them. We talked about the brick importance earlier.
That is so important. Just having the possibility of building a cover for yourself while not losing mats and just regaining them from replacing walls is instrumental to just being, you know, in a good position in the next rotation. But here, Lestrine, we saw them using a quad crusher, so most likely they just flew in to that position, and now they have to, like, you know, just make the best out of this situation.
I'm pretty sure we just saw them right outside of Dusty when they were gatekeeping and they were rotating next to Fnatic. And so that quad crasher rotations, they're so strong.
And you can do the same with the cannonball, by the way.
Yes, you can. We saw it this morning, actually. I was showing the clip to everybody. You can fly with the cannon.
Very similar fashion to the Quad Crusher. Might be a viable strategy in the entire Season 8 so far, but now we're moving back to Paradise.
Ooh.
Actually, not so close to Paradise, but still on the brink of the desert
so
and the
is
grass.
Myth.
Povity and Zeke, look at another fight right now, but it's 18 HP for Zeke. He needs to use those minis, but he has no time. He's being just tangled into a fight.
And Cloud actually gets a lot of time there as Fnatic and the other players start to shoot down on Zeke and Povity. He got some time to heal, and Myth also gets some time to get back into him. But no, we'll see here. Povity against Myth and Cloud, and Myth is in a box. He's getting pressured. Povity on top. Cloud as well, on the back foot as well.
But Zeke has not a lot of HP, and he is in the zone. He needs to move.
He's so low, Cloud is. But Myth still has a lot of HP. He can do a lot of work here. Zeke and Povity again. We'll see what goes down, but Zeke goes down. Povity's still up. Myth and Cloud go down, and all the players are paying attention to this outside in the zone.
Well, you know, that's one hell of a minefield. Aiden getting tagged. Nick Max is down, already eliminated from the game. And Aiden with the 63 HP, oh no.
Yeah, and one of the things there, we saw the fight in the zone by Myth and Cloud. This is the time when people really need to start deciding, hey, do I really want to be fighting here? Can I just kind of turtle up, just get in the zone and back off? Because again, they saw everybody hungry for those elims on the edge of zone.
68 people still on the map. So far away from the Storm Surge threshold.
Yeah, this game is a lot more aggressive. If we actually see the number of players up, I think we'll be surprised in terms of the amount of players. We haven't heard that Storm Surge tick once. No, everybody vying for position here.
We see the stream still in the same position as they were when they landed the Quad Crusher.
Tux and Provoked as well. Aspect and Animal taking a little bit more of a high ground approach as they were down on low ground before when Nate did run into them.
Just wanted to give you a small bit of an info. Zippen eliminated Svenas with a rifle from 208 meters.
Wow, that's a long shot there.
I don't think he had a scope on that rifle, though.
I think we saw somebody, I think actually Svenos, the recipient of that shot, took such a long snipe the other day. I think it was over 280 meters or something like that. But
crazy.
Regardless, here we go. Towards that mid-game right now. It's going to slow down as players decide, hey, Storm Surge is nowhere near right now. We see the X2 twins. We see E11, Kripa, and Boyer trying to take some shots as well. There's Sky and Vato, just like we said, the same position.
They have a Rift available. They're keeping it close because if someone will just move with explosive on them, they're going to use the Rift instantly.
Yeah. And talk to me about the setup going into endgame. We just talked about the Rift. What are all the goals going into it as Magin gets pressured here from Taoski and Nero?
Well, if you want to really simplify it, if you don't have mobility items, you need to wait for other people to use it and just take advantage of that. But if you have your own mobility items, you just want to be safe. You don't want to be passive, and you want to use them probably at the end of this of the phase. But now let's look at Nero and Taovsky fighting, and they're struggling against all those explosives. They hear them from every single angle, and they need to be turbo building to just be safe, not to get tagged along, because being tagged when you don't have a lot of, you know, just shields in your inventory, well, spells doom in the end game. But now Poach inside the bush.
Yeah, in the bush. We talked about it already. We saw Aiden go down as well. That bush provides a layer of protection on the first shot. And so everybody now trying to get that set up, just like we talked about the mobility if they need it. If they need anything else, they're going to go try to push for it. But remember, we just saw Taoski and Nero, they were taking a little bit of an aggressive approach, taking some shots, but that draws so much attention. Yeah,
that's the problem. When you start being aggressive in an end game, you might get pushed from other angles because people see there's, you know, there's a lot of partying going down, so we can just join in as another party, and that just happens usually in the end game.
And all the players we've been tracking in terms of positioning, people who are staying still, are all going to have to move now as it goes further west, or further east, sorry. There's two.
So pretty flat land, so a lot of opportunity to just take the low ground without being like pinched between a small hill.
Right, on the rotate, there's Zayt and Saf as well. And it's actually going towards that desert area. There's a few massive hills in that area, so flat ground for now, but as they all make their way over, it's going to be trouble. Here, Power and Jar on top of the shrine.
We have Fnatic versus G2.
They're looking for it here. They're trying to find exactly where these are. No, he's just going to pick up some wood and rotate down. Yeah, G2 on top. They say, no, we don't want anything to do with it. Now, you see 72 hours in the background. Vivid and Poach making the rotate as well. Kuna, Mitro, all up. Tomo and Item, another one of the teams. There's, I love getting to these end games because I just see all these players who are all up in the standings, so consistent. I'm just like, yes, we're going to have such a good game.
Forward Norwood. How did you came up with this name, man? I need to ask.
I love it. We saw somebody actually mentioned how they waited for, I think it was Myth actually said, hey, I just waited. I wanted to match my team, so he called himself what he did. And so Norwood there. Forward Norwood. I love it, honestly.
Look at this inventory. What is going on? 3 big bots, 6 minis, so much shield available for them.
And that's what you need. He doesn't have any mobility, so he kind of has to compensate in another way, right?
Yeah, that is true. But at the same time, he has also very big, you know, bank account with his builds. There's a rift for both as well. They have to keep it close to each other.
They have so many of those. A Chug Jug and minis as well for him. So they have a full stack of shield or big pots, a full stack of small shields, and then a Chug Jug as well. They're looking good. As Tux and Provoke took our last game, we'll see they're in a good shape to take our next one as well. Only 1 rift to go though, so that's a little dangerous for them. Here, Boya and Kripa. Look at this.
Is he playing solid gold or what is going on in here? A golden heavy AR is one of the best items you want in the end game because you can just snipe people out of the sky gliding.
All that aim practice pays off when you get that gold heavy AR. And now, look, everybody has a rift. You can see everybody's trying to hold it as the zone starts moving. Saf takes down Norwood. We saw he was, I think he might have picked up his teammate as well, but we'll see. For now, there's the first sign of Storm Surge as everybody decided, hey, I want a little break as we go forward.
Everyone gets anxious at that sound, but now X8 is getting aggressive. He's being ticked by this Storm Surge. That's so much damage.
He's getting ticked, and at the same time, Bowman is making his life so dangerous. No, this is a different, actually, POV here as he switched.
And unfortunately, G2 is being eliminated. They were an aggressive number, but now Stompy is being... is that Stompy with the Storm Surge now?
I think it's every single one of these players, but
Nirvana and Inclide just being tagged, but now Inclide not gonna get tagged alone because his teammate's already down.
Stompy and Shinken here must have some sort of mobility that they're planning to use because they're not making any motion at all. No motion towards the zone. Kuna takes himself out as well, maybe to fall damage. And we'll see. Gliding across, there's that rift to go that we talked about. And there's the hill that we talked about as well. That half in, out zone. SSK7 and Jamside had such a strong position because they came from Paradise towards this desert area, so they were already here.
Yeah, and they can zone out everyone else. Nice 200 IQ trap to just avoid people landing at your box right now.
And so we're approaching that first moving zone. That's when things start to heat up. We just saw Zayt get a Elim as well. Vivid takes out Bizzle.
Yep, big names, big names. Here Kripa with the elimination on
his loadout, though. We talked about he was playing solid gold, but when you're left with just the pump and a heavy IR, you're going to be in trouble. And there's Stompy and Shinken with that epic RPG, takes out Jarl. Just putting so much pressure on all these players trying to rotate and get a good position in the zone.
So many people just being eliminated right now. 40 people still alive. Shinken and Stompy getting 10 points for eliminating Fnatic.
25 players, or 25 duos remaining now as well, so everybody's starting to get those placement points every time a duo goes down. Mitro in trouble as well. He's by himself. We saw Kuna get eliminated in the feed earlier. Vinny and Zexro still up. Demo as well.
Demo with the LM on motor. Very important, gives him the ability to just move a little bit in front.
This VP team so impressive, always having the high ground. We talked about why they have it here, but it's still going to be time to continue to hold it. And we'll see. It's going to probably go down the hill. Where's that zone? We'll see in a sec. Demo goes down.
Important right now. The context of the next zone gives so many teams like the ability to take advantage of their builds and their movement items. But now Nero is just being pinched in this storm. He gets eliminated at the end of Devil's One there. Now E11 in a hard spot as well.
Everybody taking all the advantage, all the time to take those shots that they can. And there, SSK7 dropping down on Jamside. We'll see Boyer takes out Eric. There's so much mobility being used now. Everybody's starting to leech on everybody else. And look at this. This is actually crazy by 7 SSK7. He's tarping so far on high ground.
He is carpeting, but he is... Oh, no, never mind.
Who it is? It's Provoked and Tux again. They take high ground with the rift that they had. And unfortunately, they have to be careful. Remember, that is such a small carpet. There's only one line there. Now, Jamside, this is the last one from SSK7. He tries to stay alive. He has the HP to stay in zone right here, and he's going to get away from that player. Now, he makes it back into zone. He still has a chance here. Animal and Aspect as well going for high ground. You can see them right now. Kripa, Boyer, Stompy, Shinken still up.
Aspect and Animal taking the ultimate high ground right now. They're going to gatekeep everyone else from this position, carpeting in front. They're getting so much positioning right now, so much space, so much room to breathe.
This is so nice from them. That high ground, we saw how good it was for Provoked and Tux. They lost it just now, but Aspect and Animal, we'll see what they can do from high ground, see if they can have a perfect end game. And now, Vinny as well up, Sinu goes down, Poach actually alive as well.
Oh no! What was that?
That was so many players just fell, and Animal and Aspect, they decide, hey, actually this is the time I want to go down. It's going over this water here, right in the fatal. There, Aspect picking up one more. Boyer goes down to Poach. Kinstar goes down to as well. 6 players remaining.
Already 4 of them on the Sentinels right now here.
Using
Vinny.
that campfire. As he does, it's actually Vinny versus Hunter versus Aspect and Animal. We've seen this situation already. Let them fight down on low ground and then clean up the remains. There it is.
Goes Vinny, there it goes! Hunter as well, and Animal and Aspect are taking the victory royale in round number 5.
That's insane. Again, we see the duo versus 2 solos down on low ground, and it ends the exact same way, slightly differently because it just all happened in an instant. Hunter goes down, and then they pick it up all together. Animal and Aspect, what a showing so far.
Fantastic showing by them. The ultimate high ground, as we had seen in the previous game, paying off right now as well. So many points gathered by them. I feel like 6 elims so far. That's 30 points, plus 65 for finishing first. That gives them a huge edge.
Big stuff coming in from those 2 gentlemen there. What a performance from them. They were 2 of our guys to watch, should we say, as this DUOS tournament kicked off. We were sort of like, these guys could cause some serious damage in the tournament. Here they are, victory royale on the board for them, and certainly announced themselves to the field, gentlemen. And again, we're just seeing that patience in the end game there, just making sure they're not making those bad decisions, not getting rash, and looking for the eliminations too early. Perfect end game play from them.
Perfect end game play again. We saw it from Zayt and Saf. We saw it from Tux and Provoked. And again, Animal and Aspect doing it again. So they're getting the confidence back that they needed. Aspect didn't have the performance he wanted, but today he is. He's having that one. And Animal did so well yesterday, so he's starting to bring it all together in one fluid piece.
And that's what you need to do. Start picking up those big performances as the tournament rolls on, because as we know, every single match that goes past gets more and more important, and you have to start performing. You don't get those mistakes in the bank. The pressure was on these guys a little bit to have a big game here, and they did, Lothar.
Yeah, that is true. At the same time, you know, I feel like we're kind of talking about the same thing every single time, but I'm going to reiterate again. Consistency is key. Winning one game doesn't get you anything, right? If you're not going into good placements later on, you're not going to have anything from this win.
Okay, well, let's go down to Adam on the stage now with our winners of the last game.
Thanks so much, mate. Yeah, Animal Aspect here, our Game 5 winners, everyone. Guys, I can see you here just rocking side to side. You are buzzing. It must feel amazing when something pays off like that.
Yeah, it feels good. That was a pretty hard-earned game. Honestly, our high take was pretty good. And we just held it from there and picked off a bunch of people. Good game.
I mean, our North American players are doing outstandingly well today. You've been really consistent throughout the entire day so far. I guess strat-wise, everything's paying off.
Yeah, we had a couple of rough games because of Storm Surge. In the prac games, we didn't really have to deal with that, but we haven't been not fighting as many people, so we've been getting kind of flustered by that, but we tried a new strat this game and it worked out, so.
I've just been fed in my ear as well that you guys have moved up to 3rd in the leaderboard. That is amazing. After 5 games, things could be much better right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we dropped down to 9th. The Storm Surge really messing us up, but we did things a little different and worked, so going to keep trying it and hopefully keep climbing.
And I've asked a few players this already, but obviously, the caliber of players we have here this weekend, are there players you're already keeping an eye on to kind of think, oh, we got to watch out for those guys and things?
Zayt and Saf, Vinny and Zexro, DML and Bizzle, Mitro and Kuna, all really good duos. They're all doing well, so yeah.
Basically everyone. Basically everyone is capable. But congratulations. Our Game 5 winners, everyone. Aspect and Animal, well done, guys. Best of luck with the rest of the competition. 5 games down already. 2 more to go today. Hopefully these guys can keep up the good work. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thank you, Adam, Animal, and Aspect, feeling good about themselves, as you would expect, as we have our standings coming in. And look at that, moving up into 3rd place, but not being able to quite dethrone Vinny and Zexro, who are holding on to that 1st place, gentlemen.
Look at that, 250 for both Sentinels and VP.
Oof.
That's a
doesn't get much closer.
game.
It literally doesn't get any closer.
It does not
exactly
get much closer at all. But one of the things I wanted to talk about there on that first page, Zexro and Vinny are at 30 points ahead. That's starting to become a nice lead for them. And here at the second page, Kripa and Boyer, all these players starting to fall, the players we were tracking, but Provoked and Tux. They had 2 strong games in a row. They get all the way to 12th place. I'm not sure where they were before, but such strong performances from them, game back-to-back.
And we saw Demo and his teammate there. They've sort of fallen away from what they had a really good start. Demo and Bizzle, they've had a couple of games where they haven't been able to quite put in the performances they did early. But, I mean, Lothar, what are you taking away from these standards?
What I take away is that the top 15 is very close to each other. Like, there were differences like 159, 157, 155. So the difference is like 1 LM. 1 position in the game. That changes so much in the context of just, you know, performing in those 2 days. So we're going to have to, like, analyze the entire standings after 7 games.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, isn't it? Now, at this point in our previous duos competition,
shortly, I think.
well, it looks like things will be kicking off even shorter than that. They're kicking off now, actually. Oh, no. Round number 6 is underway. As you can see here, the bus is ready. The players are jumping out. They'll find their landing spots. Gentlemen, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. And yes, something I wanted to bring up, Zakibus, as we get underway here with this match is about these drop locations, right? We've seen over the course of today a lot of action happening in Tilton, obviously with Aiden and Nick Merckx, as you expect. But for me, it's been more about looking at Vitality players, Kilos and Maxaliber, because they were going Tilted before, and then they started to change things up when they realized this is not working for us. We are not being successful in this location, and they switched up over to Lonely Lodge as well. So we're seeing like these changes come in, which I think is something we're going to see almost out of every team over the course of these last 2 matches, and of course tomorrow.
Sure. Unfortunately, I don't think it's been going too well for them when they've been landing Lonely Lodge, though. I think they've been actually getting eliminated by Myth and Cloud.
So change it up again, then I guess we'll see.
Well, maybe they committed and tried again and tried again. We don't know. Myth and Cloud, funny enough, in the last game, didn't get too far.
Well, we can see here Animal and Aspect going to be going up to Snobby Shores. We're going to be separating across this location. Won't have anyone in the near vicinity at the moment, so not too big of a deal for them as they're going to be able to farm up here and look relatively good as we progress through into this round.
This is the liquid poached beehive coffee sort of fight happening in Pleasant Park. This has happened multiple times already, Jason, and it's been pretty bad for Beehive right now and Coffee. They've been losing the majority of the fights in the last 2 games, so they really need to step it up.
Well, we can see here a lot of already action happening as Rizart, who've the 2 Japanese players here with Llama have been having a rough start. Now we see Hupek and Skix going to be going over towards Tilted Towers as Nick Merckx already able to take down Hupek off the bat, and they've had a very, very rough duo tournament for them, and Hupek will eventually be finished off.
Wax just farming up to the building here, just trying to get as many mats as he can. Crazy Llama wants to push this aggressively. We saw him landing retail yesterday a lot, pretty much their favorite drop here, and Nick off. Oh no, Rizart has to be careful as he gets ganked from behind here, I believe. But slowly takes the high ground, plays it a little bit safe, and Airwax is getting... No, he's fine. Sorry, I misread that situation.
It's fine.
Completely.
Thing is, I bet even sometimes they misread the situations quite a bit as they have to switch things up. And again, information is always going to be key when coming into these battles. And speaking of information, Fa in History are trying to get aggressive here, looking for a very early fight. Tack shotgun in the hands of History, so he's going to be the one leading the charge in. They do have this high ground position. A lot of materials as well here, Zakibus, being expended out of both teams.
Yeah, they want to commit to this fight as much as possible, get the elim, and also get those mats, which will pop out of your opponent as you get the win. But let's see how they handle this. Good tack shotgun coming in, pressuring the side here, but really his teammates focusing both sides here, I believe.
Let's go for a little bit of a pincer move here, which we've seen work over the course of today so many times. As far he's got his own tack shotgun again. They're trying to replace these walls here. He does eventually close the distance. Tixi going to be knocked down, and they can potentially finish this off. And that looks almost all too easy here for the two Brazilians.
Very, very interesting. The Brazilians actually told me that they were committed to landing Paradise and fighting it, but obviously change of plans yet again, and they've been having some great success. I think that's the second time they've eliminated that team at Salty Springs too.
Well, we can see here Miz and Jules. And Jules actually take his own victory out in solos yesterday. If he missed out on that match, they have a rift to go, and not much more beyond that here, Zacchaeus. I'm assuming they're not going to be too confident with the loadout they do have, but luckily for them, there's not a lot of action in their location. Now, Kaiser and Magan up against Myth and Cloud, and you can see Myth already trying to rotate around. He actually takes the vent here, and I think they're trying to just disengage this fight, give this location up.
But where's Cloud? Is he already down?
I want to say he's already taken it.
No, he's actually pretty safe.
Yeah, I think he was actually like right next to him up towards the north as they both did take that vent and escape. So the Atlantis pair here have been able to lock down this position. Obviously going to be farming up quite a bit here, but I respect that play out of Myth and Cloud. Every game counts.
Oh, of course, and they've been playing very well together actually this tournament. It's a kind of a surprise because Myth hasn't performed at all, but he's really stepping up to the plate now.
Oh yeah, both
as all the American teams are. They're really performing and really grinding up this leaderboard.
I'm curious to see how he does tomorrow as well, this duo, because they have been getting consistently better as the day's been going on. Yes, they have been eliminated a little bit earlier on in some prior games, but they've been looking good. Llama already going to be knocked down. Rizart now going to be by himself in a one-on-two situation up against the Twins, and this is almost just not fair when you're playing against the telepathic players from Renegades here in Australia. And they will close this out and take their eliminations.
Telepathic synergy there coming in from the Australians. Very, very well played as we switch over to Tilted Towers here. And of course, we've got Aiden, Nip Mercs, and oh, Ares just dropped into the equation. Straight onto Ares with Noad and pushing the equation. And he's managed to escape Aiden. Quick running, quick get into the top of Trump Tower there.
I think that's Nick Mercs off to the side trying to help. Actually, no, it's another team. It's the Fax Fox crew with Aim Hero from Korea trying to help them out here. So a little bit of an awkward fight between 5 players.
Yeah, Aiden, I think he's on his own there, right? Where's Nick? Is he
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Was he eliminated? We don't see him on the screen. I'm looking at our spiffy little tablet. I don't see him in the activity feed either. So he actually is alive, and he does have an elimination. He's just not really in vicinity as he's looking to actually close this distance now, maybe trying to flank in from the side.
I think he almost had an angle there onto Ares, but missed the opportunity, and Ares now just turtling up on the side. And we have an action coming in from Aiden as he pushes onto Noad. They're having a bit of an edit fight right here in the staircase. Can get a little bit awkward with those edits there.
And we can see Jules and Miz, they've been already able to take down Excalibur, and Keyless is going to fall as well here in a second. Won't be able to get much off that. Ares has knocked himself down.
Oh, falling down.
I honestly feel like whenever someone jumps off and takes themselves out of the fight, Myth should be paid royalties every time.
I think he should. I mean, rightfully so. He's coined the phrase.
And we did actually have history go down to Smeef. So Milan and Smeef, that's not someone we really talked about a ton, Zacchaeus, today. We haven't really been able to talk about them in a great light just because they haven't been performing too well. But they still have that potential. Smeef was doing great in solos yesterday. Milan, we know him as being this prodigy, but he hasn't really hit his peak just yet. But again, being a young player, being 16, playing on a stage in front of an audience, there's a lot of different pressure on you, especially when you don't have your own potato PC here to play on.
Or
potato laptop, I guess I should say.
Very true. And as you can see, Milan is already down, and Smeef having to do all the hard work by himself. And it's going to be very difficult for the Brit to actually get in some action here.
So I think Smeef actually took down History, and then Fa took down Milan. So they're actually having now a 1v1 as the conclusion of this battle should be eventually finishing off here. As you can see, Smeef going to be on the higher position. In the meantime, the X2 boys did chime in with another elimination themselves, and Smeef, he will fall. Fa is going to come out the victor, but he still will be by himself here in a world of hurt with so many players left alive.
That pump just did massive damage. I believe he was on like 180 HP there. Absolutely destroyed there. Smeef going to be a little bit annoyed, I guess, but got to move with the punches.
I think for those two players who are so young, obviously they're not out of this entire tournament just yet. There's still a chance they can make their way up the rankings. But I think it's a good learning experience for them. You know, Zakibus, if you think back to the first tournament that you ever played in, you know, in front of a crowd, it was just a big learning experience in general, just to kind of control your emotions when it comes to playing on a stage, controlling those nerves as well. Next two boys, again, clean up another elimination, and really excited to see what they can do over the course of the rest of today, and of course tomorrow.
Me too. I really hope the Australian boys really kick it up into gear. I want to see them perform. I want to see, you know, Korea do well. Obviously, Australia, all the underdogs that are currently unknown, really, and not have much action. But this is huge! They shoot out the quad bike. Oh, Nick Merckx. Oh, Bowman, Alpha gone from just a split second. One mistake going on the quad.
That is a little bit unfortunate for them. And that's the downside of using the quad crasher. We saw the quad and we saw the crash.
Absolutely huge from Nick Merckx. Oh my God, that was insane. Just at the right time. I don't think that the Na'Vi boys knew where they were down in the river and just risked going for that rotation. But they got absolutely beamed.
So now I'm wondering with Poach here, where is Vivid? I'm not sure if he was eliminated early on or if he's in just the near vicinity of his motor. And Eric Triceps now looking to potentially pull off a 2v1, which obviously would work very well for them. Keep in mind, as we can see here, Nick Merckx did not get credit for those, by the way.
Did he not? Surely he did.
According to this, he did not get credit. And from what I saw in the activity feed, he didn't get credit either, even though I did see a little bit of damage in there. Maybe didn't hit the final shots or something, but no credit being given to them, so they don't get the extra 10 points, which is kind of a shame for them. But nonetheless, a great job for them to take two of their opponents out of the rest of this round.
Mitra and Kuna pushing in aggressive with those stinks, putting the pressure on their opponents. Good stuff. Oh, I think he just hit himself there. Has to rotate a little bit. Mitra, a little bit of a mistake there.
Teofsky. If you guys haven't seen the clip from him yesterday, make sure to check that one out. That was a sight to be seen, and I actually got to talk to him at a party last night, and he obviously was very, very upset with what happened, but he laughed it off. He had a good time with it. But if they get pushed here and they get eliminated, I can hear the nyets coming out of him another time.
I mean, you just got to own it. I mean, he did the cannonball roll out on the stage.
That was great. That was fantastic. That was definitely one of the greatest things I've seen today when it came to the intros. Kuna and Micho, 0 eliminations. They have a rift. They have some good weaponry as well to use here in the situation. Obviously, they want to be able to secure these because they're looking fairly good in the standings overall. So if you're Teofsky and Nero, you have to respect them here. And speaking of that, that's going to be Teofsky going to be knocked down as well as Nero. And that was, again, just a pretty clean sweep here.
There was no problem for the Atlantis boys there. Mitro and Kuna doing excellent work, really putting the pressure on, keeping those Polish players locked into that box and not making them move or have any escapes very quickly. And it was very nicely done, Jason.
Funk Bomb with the dynamite being thrown in. I think that did some decent damage to 0-7, knocking a majority, if not all of his shield out. Do have the Vic Black Shoe going to be out of this round as well, just to kind of give you a quick little update what's been going around the map.
Yeah, Little J and Zero just setting up near Nate and Funk Bomb. Funk Bomb having a little look over there just to check out what's going on. And most teams will be kind of settling up down in the south region here as it goes over Paradise, the zone.
Oh, Shinken going to be by himself now as he was the winner of Game 3. Going to be a tough battle for him with his back up against the wall, but luckily the attention isn't towards him. You can see Aspect and Anna going for the chase on the Airwax. Sneak up trying to provide some sort of cover from the high ground, but he's being shot as well here from a third party. It's just a big skirmish breaking down. Got a couple of clingers trying to be thrown in as well, trying to look for some early damage. You can see Nikov just trying to protect himself. The problem is Airwax is by himself. Nikov has to be here to support his teammate.
Yeah, great stinks coming in here from Airwax. Knocks down Animal. That's a big pick there. One of the favorites. He's been doing incredibly well and making his way up the ladder very, very quickly here.
Demo, Bizzle, Tomo, Item, who have actually, I believe, in the top 10 as well. I think they're ranked 7, if I'm not mistaken, in the vicinity. Even here on Fax, Fox, Shinken, Nate, and Funk Bomb. So many players in this location. So it looks like Animal will be finished off, but Aspect's looking for the left-hand shot. They're not able to connect as, again, those stink bombs really doing some serious work here and denying a lot of positions, a lot of angles that you can fight from.
Yeah, it's pushing people out.
Don't down yourself, please.
Oh, it's pushing people out of their boxes and giving opportunities to get the damage that they want or find an opportunity to get that free rotation, that little gap to do the damage, but you know,
I respect this, by the way, out of these two boys, Airwax and Nikov, because yes, they could have chased on for that final elimination, but there's no point to, right? There's no point to get so aggressive and get caught out and put yourself in a bad situation to potentially be knocked out prior top 25. So I can respect that play. Play a little bit more passive, you know, get these more guaranteed points further on later into the round.
I 100% agree with you, Jason, and that's very rare to do. Little J 0-7. Oh, they've got a rift to go here. They're just picking up. Obviously, they've been supplying themselves quite well. Only the AR is kind of the missing piece here, and very limited ammo on that front as well. They've been obviously poking left, right, and center. Zaf and Safe having a bit of a skirmish with Svenos and Anzies. But they're going to dip out here at Fatal Fields. Try and go for a rotation by the looks of it.
Meantime, Scram, I think he had one of the greatest interviews yesterday when we had the solos. You could just see the energy that was going through him and how, not shocked he was, but the adrenaline coursing through his veins when he did pick up that victory.
Yeah,
him and Sakona are going to be alive for now.
Yeah, as we see the whole map here, we can see who's left in the game. Villax and Kinson actually have been doing very, very well. Actually, they're 7th currently right now, and they've been climbing the leaderboard quite well, but doing it very stealthily, as well as Mitro and Kuna.
You can see Little J able to help secure that one with 0. They do eliminate and get eliminations on their side. Most importantly, Windwalker going to be on the high ground now, as he's going to be by himself and eventually chased on. The RPG comes in, knocks him back down to the ground. Yeah, and you can just tell this is going to be so tough to get away from the traps coming in. And luckily, Little J doesn't run into that one, and they will escape. Not too much damage done to them.
That was if that was Windwalker's trap there, that was a great play, putting a trap there, giving you that little bit of an edge to move across that 1-by-1 space and actually push into your opponent. I don't think he was ready for that at all, but luckily he just didn't get the damage on the shots. So, you know, Windwalker flaked out a bit, but it was still a very quick thinking play, and I respect that a lot.
Demo Bizzle. Sky, who we haven't talked about a ton when it's come to duos. He was very prominent yesterday in the solos, having a relatively quiet game, but that's what we've kind of been saying, right? Is that solos and duos are completely different beasts, and you can have these players who do really well in solos not be able to necessarily transition as well into duos when obviously things get way more complicated, and you have to communicate with another player and kind of try to be on that same wavelength, which is why the 2 Australian boys have an advantage since they're twins.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that telepathic.
Telepathy?
Yeah, telepathy. That's the one. That's the one.
I got you. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do. Not a great caster, but I can help you out with words. Zexro and Vinny, 2 players we definitely have to keep an eye on. And just imagine, Vinny, what, 48 hours ago, being signed to TSM, won the solo tournament within 24 hours. If they win the duo tournament as well, I think Vinny's going to be like, hey, TSM, I need a raise.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. They're going to be incredibly happy with those pickups, and they're doing so solidly right now. It's insane. And it could be back-to-back winners for TSM. And, you know, Myth and Cloud are still in the running still.
Well, as we talked about high ground, we talked about SSK7 and Jam side. They're going to be doing it yet again here, as they do have themselves set up nicely inside of this safe circle with a lot of RPGs to use. I believe that was 6 left in their kit.
Interesting, we were saying this earlier on, Jason, that they always seem to be in the right spot at the right time. They're on the highest ground possible in this circle, and they're just set up perfectly for the next one too.
Just to remind you guys, they're currently ranked 4th and have not had a victory royale out of our first 5 games. So this is a team who's just been playing so well and consistently getting into those top 10 places. In the meantime, Vinny is having a lot of damage done to him. Just look at the players around him as well. We've got the 2 Australians, the X2 boys, or brothers next to them as they're just bouncing out of this one. We got towards their south. We got Mitro and Kuna there. We got Eric and Motor, who's been actually getting better, you know? They've been consistently improving over the course of the day, and that's what I like to see when it comes into these tournaments, especially these 2-day tournaments we have for this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, top 10 contenders all around in that area having to rotate, and it's a big rotation for them. They have to be careful. Hopefully they use the right items, maybe just find the right spaces to maybe do it with mats, but it's difficult, and we've got Kinstar actually getting pressured here, and he's been doing incredibly well as well.
He just pushed out actually to pick up some loot that was on the ground, so I think they got an elimination on their side. Sath has actually been dropped by Skix. Nick Merckx as well has fallen, and Mitro is going to be dropped by Zexro. So we're seeing a lot of these big dogs, a lot of these big names that we've expected to be into these top 10 positions starting to be knocked out relatively early.
Yeah, we've got Item and Tomo. They've been doing consistently well throughout the day, and Zay and Sath. Big pickups there from Skits as Zay goes down, but...
Oh, Fa, we talked about him before. History was dropped when they had that 2v2 fight. He came out the victor in the 1v1. He's now out of this fight as Boyer will secure the elimination onto him. Apparently, Crippa and Boyer, they've been they've been kind of like sneaking their way through, right? We haven't like talked about them too much, but they've been consistently and consecutively getting these good positions and, you know, eking their way into the top 10.
Yeah, there's a lot of ninjas out there right now, Jason, proving themselves. And Touch and Provoke are one of those duos teams that are complete ninjas. They've been taking these high ground retakes that are really risky, especially in the last game. And look at that. Myth and Cloud at the tippity top.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this position. We can see the Storm Surge starting to get active here. As Issa, I think that was one of the players getting some damage done to him. He's going to be knocked down. Demo's going to get credit for that one. The Myth and Cloud, I want to start seeing get some eliminations here, get some damage being done. They're above the threshold, I believe, both the players. They have a Rift to go as well if they need it for the next zone. But they have the high ground at the moment, and they have a shooting spree around them.
They've got a Rift to go. They're in a great position to rotate from this spot, take some damage onto their opponents, you know, laser some people as that's what they're doing as the zone moves in, but they will have to move from it pretty shortly. It just depends how they want to do it.
I want to see the battle between 7 SSK7 Jamside and Demo and Bizzle. Because Demo and Bizzle, over the course of the day, have been very consistent at getting from low ground to high ground, taking the ultimate high ground position. And 7 SSK7 and Jamside have been actually the ones who, I think for the majority, have been able to maintain or at least lock down the control for the most part. We can see Cloud takes down Provoke there. See 7 SSK7 has been able to get elimination himself too. Skix trying to get his way through as you can see Myth get some good damage onto him as he's trying to transition across.
Yep, he will be eliminated there. Myth and Cloud cleaning him up there. But look, some big fire coming in from Cloud, pushing in onto the Atlantis boys there. Kinzel and Vilex. Wow, good building here, but oh, whiffed it at the end.
He's got first aids, though, so he's fine. He didn't lose any shield off of that one. If he can just get himself set up nicely here, he's going to be back to that full HP or at least 169 health. Marky's going to fall. 7 SSK7 actually has been incapacitated at the moment, but like this, Myth and Cloud playing together here. Bizzle going to be directly below them. Vinny and Zexro more than happy to just sit here on the low ground and let this one play out. Play for those placement points.
Definitely. Vilex just sitting there, camp firing up. That could be a clue for other people around him to maybe fire a rocket, disturb him, nesting up the top there, showing he's a little bit weak.
Chat next 72 hours is alive as well here, too. You have to keep that in mind as we start to get into places. We're at 25 now, so if you do get eliminated, you are going to get some points on the board, albeit not a lot, but some is better than none. And Aiden, actually, he's still alive. He lost to Mercs earlier on, but he's still fighting.
That's really impressive for Aiden. Like, it's his late game is very, very difficult for him. His early game is incredibly strong, such a great eliminator, but now has to make the rotations along with everybody else.
All right, so Vilex and Kinzel, they're the two currently with the ultimate high ground. That most likely will be changing in the next few moments as the Storm will be moving. You can see Power using that launch pad to his advantage. Jarl, in the meantime, he's going to go for a different route as he's walking across. Livato is going to be eliminated. Yeah, we're seeing players who have been incapacitated, just eventually being finished off here. Chat, actually on the bottom of the mountain, might start losing some HP too, as a lot of damage being done. Power has actually been able to take the high ground himself here in the meantime, as he's lost Jarl. 72 Hours is now out of the fight. Kinstar's now out of the fight. Svenos is out of the fight. Constantly, players are being eliminated here left and right.
Oh my, how is this happening so quickly? What's going on out there? People are just going down, but things are just so hectic that you just can't keep up with all the action, Jason.
You have to find some sort of semblance here in this chaos, find some sort of route to fight your way out of it here if you want to get out of those darkest holes and into the bright limelight of a victory royale. Vinny, he's going to be alive with Zexro as well. Tomo, again, one of those ninjas we've been talking about. Him and Item have been doing fairly well as Kinzel. X8 going to be dropped on the low ground here. Bizzle trying to get his way across here. The X2 boy is going to be popping a rift, getting up high in the air.
Can Boya and Cripper get it? I don't think they can. They were down there for it, but I don't think they can squeeze in. I think they're going to have to find out the hard way how to get out of this circle, and it's going to be very difficult for them.
You can see the control they have of a lot of these walls for Zexro and Vinny, so this is really easy for them to rotate through. As you can see them trying to maintain high ground control. A lot of materials, a lot of builds left to go for themselves. Razaru to take down Kaiser Myths, eventually going to be dropped here by Jamside. And the high ground, it's now in the favor of the Aussies.
It's about time, Jason. It's about time. But Power has found an entrance there at the back. Have to be a little bit more defensive here. But he's going to actually give it up. He's going to go mid-ground instead. Maybe he's out of mats there, Power. But he had an opportunity to really disrupt the Australians. Item squeezing down on the low ground.
Squeaky bum moment for him as he has no HP here towards a very low ground. The Australians on the high ground with Jesse with 7 eliminations and the dream here. 10 players left alive. This is 100 points if they can pick the victory royale, but there's going to be more than that, especially if they're able to get any more eliminations on top. That Cloud is still fighting for him, and Vinny going to be in there with Zexro as well, so we still have that duo left alive. Bizzle takes down Isma, and Tux somehow, another Ninja player, has been able to actually just sneak his way through here unharmed.
Yep, he's just going to have to play that low ground game, play it safe as much as he possibly possible, can wiggle his way through that crazy maze that is now built underneath him. But he's in a bad position here. He's getting attacked every side of him, and now he manages to pick up Cloud.
It's getting rough here. You can see the Australian boys going to be fighting up against Vinny and Zextro, trying to battle out for who has the ultimate high ground, trying to shoot down, rain down damage from above. 5 players left to go here. Now Bizzle's going to be dropped. Zextro's going to get that elimination. Jesse's still on 7 limbs. Hasn't been able to take it to the next level just yet, but he has that big game under his belt already. And now with 4 left to go, it comes down to a 2-on-1 technically, because Vinny is down. I think they know this. I think they're going to try to rush into this one. Zextro has no chance of picking Vinny up. So can Zextro pull off the 1v2, or the Australians take here their first victory royale?
It's going to be really interesting to see if they're just going to waste the time here, just play for the circle, get the rotations. But, you know, I don't think they want to play too aggressive in this situation, Jason. They want to play it nice and cool. But, ooh, we've got some medkits coming out here for Zextro at the bottom. But this is huge for him. Obviously, hot contender, already in first place.
Zextro, he's out of the storm. He's taking some damage. He's trying to take higher ground. He's trying to get around them. He's trying to somehow pull off this 1v2. And as we can see, it's not working out too well for them here. He's down on very low HP. And I think the Australians have done it. Renegades, Jesse and Jordan have been able to take their first victory royale and put Australia on the map.
It's about time, Jason. It's about time that these guys got their synergy together. And it's great to see them coming out on top. And Jesse, what a carry there.
Eliminations. That's insane.
So insane. They were a little bit lucky towards the late game. There was an opportunity for Power to knock them down, but he bottled out. He knew that it was too much of a tough situation to attempt. So dives down, Jesse, and then
Jordan, yeah, they're able to just really come together at the right moment, especially there at the end. Having that 2v1, those are situations that you should not lose. If you're a pro player, if you're at the top of your game, you should never lose the 2v1s.
Finally, we see it. We've been waiting for it all day. We've been waiting for the X2 Twins to perform like that. That's what we wanted to see from them. That's what we expected. I'm sure the Oceania region right now is celebrating in the Twitch chat. I'm sure that they're absolutely loving it. Congratulations to Jesse and Jordan on a huge victory royale there. But 8 eliminations as well coming in from Jesse. He took that game by the scruff of the neck.
He did. I think it's like if you give him that control, I think obviously Jordan was doing some help too. Let's not count him out just because there was a 0. Just because there was a goose egg next to him doesn't mean he wasn't helping. And they were working well together as a team. Yeah, the eliminations went towards Jesse, but they played so well together. And the thing is, like, I think there's a lot of pride on the line for them, not for only being from Australia, but they have a brother team, sister team here competing in one of the tournaments at the Intel Extreme Masters. And obviously they were here rooting them on as well, and finally being able to live up to that has to feel great.
Oh, definitely. It feels fantastic. I'm sure that they're going to be having a party back at the hotel about it as well.
Well, hopefully not, because they have to play tomorrow.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I do forget that.
But I'll tell you what, let's ask them. Let's see what they're going to do after that victory royale. I believe that Adam is down on the floor with our Australian duo winners from the last game.
I certainly am, buddy. Thank you very much there. I am joined by the X2 Twins, Game 6 winners. Guys, amazing performance there. Jesse, I'll come to you. 8 eliminations. Is Jordan riding your coattails right now, or what?
Nah, yeah, I mean, he's IGL, so he does a lot of work like behind the scenes, yeah.
You guys are performing brilliantly. I mean, walk us through the end game there. Walk us through the actual game itself. How did it feel to play in that moment?
Yeah, that was so much fun. We changed up our drop spot, and Jesse just popped off, dude. I was just following him the whole game. He was going off.
I mean, were you in those situations as well where you have all those players being squeezed into the final circle? Does mindset change at all? The strategy keeps it exactly the same? How do you guys play together? How do you work things out?
We do it game by game, but that game we had enough loot from all the kills, so we decided to dive for height. It worked out, so yeah.
We saw there at the end game as well, Vinny and Zextro again are making it to the final circle. When you guys know you're up against those guys, you have to take it to another level to make sure you get the victory, or what?
Yeah, they're killing it right now. They're super consistent, and yeah, they're playing so well.
I mean, you guys have earned some serious points as well here. A victory royale in Game 6. Great points there from the eliminations. You must be really pleased with how the day is coming to a close. I bet you can't wait to get back here tomorrow as well.
Yeah, for sure. We had a bad stroke of luck at the start, but this is good relief.
Well, congratulations. Our Game 6 winners, guys. The X2 Twins! Congratulations, dudes. Best of luck with the rest of the competition. Mark, back to you guys. What a great performance that was.
Fantastic stuff from those two gentlemen. And they started off with my favorite Aussie saying of all, which is, yeah, nah. which I just love hearing it. Huge performance from those. But we need to talk about the two players. They also mentioned in that interview, Vinny and Zextro, again getting points on the board, Zacchaeus.
Oh, they're just stacking those points up. I'd be very interested to see what else is happening with Zaf and Zayt at the moment, because things are, they're heating up right now.
And that's around a 90-point lead
91,
now.
yeah.
They could potentially take into tomorrow, depending on how our final game of the day goes. That's a huge gap.
You need like a victory royale and 7 eliminations to actually close that distance and hope that they get knocked out of top 25 with 0 elims. That's how big of a lead they have. But as we saw, the two Aussies have not even been able to crack the top 10 just yet. And that kind of shows they've been unable to really do well earlier on, but maybe that was a spark they needed to really get things going.
I think that's a great point, and obviously that's just going to breed confidence through them. Maybe, we can't speak for them, but it might be a case of, they put too much expectations on themselves coming into this tournament. They've had to sort of relax a bit, get into the flow of things, and now that they've got that victory,
With Jesse and Jordan saving the items for the very, very late game. They must have rotated so much and risked so much to have that rift at that very point.
Right.
But again, it's not a guarantee that you will get the high ground. You don't know who's waiting for you at the top. There could be 2 teams lasering you from above. And it's not easy to do.
And I think we're seeing players like Demo and Bizzle who have the understanding of when to do it and why to do it, in terms of they let other people who take the high ground invest so much material to getting that high ground and maintaining it, and then they use that mobility item like the Rift to get up there, or a launch pad to get up there, to take the high ground away from them, and then still have all of their own materials to use to maintain it for themselves. So it's not about taking high ground, it's about taking it at the right time with the right materials and the right inventory, and then be able to maintain it from there on.
Airwax actually taking out Rizart there in retail row, going down fast, and I believe the Japanese players are both out there. Very unlucky for them. They're not doing too well in this tournament right now, Jason.
Yeah, they're not. But again, just the first day. And that's something I really honestly hope to see coming into tomorrow, is seeing these players watch back their games, discuss what went well, what didn't go well, and change. Because this is such a different format than a lot of people are used to. And you heard Myth in his video talking about, when these formats come around, you have to learn how to play them. And I feel like after this day of games, for all the players here except the Polish players who've already experienced it last week, that's their time. That's their opportunity to go into this and say, okay, what can we change up now going into our second day, because it's do or die time.
Yeah, I mean, one example for that is like, Milan. Like he's such an aggressive, fast, mechanical player, and I feel like he's gone too passive for his own good. That he's slowed himself down a little bit.
So he's changed his style too much?
Yeah, I think so. I think the nerves of the event, gets to people, and there'll be other players like that. I just use that as an example, and that, I think that was a lovely sniper shot there, coming in from behind.
Yeah, Shinken and Stompy looking to take a potential second victory out, and that's something we need to talk about here, Zach. We've had 2 days now. We've had 14 matches at the end of this one, and yet we've had no repeat victory royales. I think that's actually really cool to see. Even without the repeat victory royales, though, we still have that clear winner at the moment here with Vinny and Zextro.
That's very true. It's all up for grabs, really. I mean, well, apart from Vinny and Zextro, they're way ahead by the pack, almost 100 points. Big damage coming in here from Include. Can he find the elimination? He can. He knocks down his opponent. Madzen down. Now, just taking it slow with AR. I think he's going to go for the elimination down there, get that shield, and then push on to the last player, Seth, here.
This is an interesting actual thing when it comes to... I don't think we've even touched about it a single time on the desk over the course of this last week and a half, is letting a certain player get the elimination because they need the health and the shield more than you, right? Maybe you don't have the small shields, maybe you don't have the big shield pots. Letting someone try to get the elimination by assisting them so they get the extra HP to work with. It's kind of min-maxing how you can play, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for instance, he had minis. He had been hit, but, you know, he wants to get it up quick. He wants to get that shield very quickly. And no better way of doing that than actually eliminating a safe player that's already in your safe space. It was the right decision to do. And now they have an opportunity to eliminate Seth and make it easy.
And I like how they're taking their time, too, not rushing things. And now we have our victors from our last round here, the two Aussies, Jesse and Jordan, up against Nikov. And Airwax trying to maintain potentially a back-to-back Royale. Let's see, as we do have Airwax charging in. I think they know. They made the call. Nikov said, I did damage to Jordan, but they returned back onto him, taking that shield completely away.
It's going to be interesting. Is Jesse going to make a move for high ground? I think Jordan is. They're pushing on to Airwax here. He's by himself on that left-hand side, and they've seen the vulnerability, but they've got to watch out for this flank from Nikov as well. He's got an angle on both players here, but this could be very, very deadly for Airwax, and he's read the situation right. He's backing off, getting back to his teammate, getting back to the high ground.
But for how early on we are in this game now, Zacubus, this is a lot to invest into a fight. We saw the X2 boys do this before. We saw them do this, and it actually was one of their downfalls. But they eventually had no materials to build with and no way to escape, though they actually pushed the aggression, caught their opponents off guard, and did win that fight. But this is such a big commitment.
Yeah, and now the commitment comes in strong there from Jesse. Big damage coming into Airwax. Ah, so much damage. He's on 20 HP, and they're going to try and continue to pressure him as well.
Oh, Jesse, actually, Demo comes out of nowhere here, gets the down onto Jesse, gets the finish as well, and now the third party has come in. Sure, you can see towards the top left-hand side, just getting a couple of bullets rattling off in this direction. And Airwax has to be so happy that the cavalry is here, but he's got to be careful because he doesn't have a lot of health either.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And Jordan is pressured. He's going to run straight into Nikov, surely. He drops down and goes. He just eliminates himself by falling off the build. The pressure, the fear, and the anxiety got to him, and he just jumped off, had enough. And, you know, he's going to be back on the bus, Jason.
So I wonder, well, no, he won't be. You have to go home now from this one. The bus won't be up until tomorrow. I wonder, though, did he run out of materials? Or do you think that was a play out of him to be smart, to realize I can't pull off an elimination here? Let me take myself out so I don't give the points to anyone else. Do you think that was potentially a case, or do you think it was more like a misplay or running out of materials?
I mean, it makes complete sense. I mean, that is a very good point to make. But I think it was more the fact that he was out of mats in that instance. I don't think he was thinking. I think he was just trying to survive as best as he could. Reacted to a problem too quickly for his own good, and then obviously out.
And now Aiden and Nick Merckx here on Tilted Towers. I think for the most part of today, they've been fairly successful when it's come to this. But this is a battle we wanted to see. Fox calling out, if you come to Tilted, you're going to lose. But they've been the ones actually losing for the most part here.
Yeah, everybody's kind of having that stalemate sort of period in a fight when the damage has been dealt, trying to find the heals, but the action kicks off again here with Nick Merckx as he dives down and tries to regroup with his teammate here.
Aiden was being shot from behind her. Nice little position kind of aim here as he gets rushed down, caught off guard. The elimination was certainly going to come through as he will be dropped out of this fight for now. And now his teammate Fox looking to run away here and hopefully get into the placings. But again, Aiden and Nick Merckx putting their foot down saying, hey, Tilted is ours.
Very much so. They've been actually dominating that spot pretty much a lot of the times coming out of Tilted. They are still alive and doing very well, but it falls off towards the mid-game as they get those rotations. I've only seen Aiden alive pretty much once in a late-game situation.
That was I think that was last game, too, that we did see. In-time camo. It's actually lost out on Iza. I believe has lost out on history in this battle that's been going on here between these two players. Just trying to look for, again, an angle here. He's got a lot of materials to work with, so he's not in too big of a rush. And he knows that Fa's very low on HP. I think he's just trying to escape his Brazilian player looking to fight another day. I don't think Camel's going to let that happen.
No, and I don't think it is going to happen. Scram Sakona here in the back end of Paradise, and SSK and Jamside have been dropping it every time and been doing very, very well. This has been a very highly contested drop, as I said earlier, Jason. But SSK and Jamside have been owning it up pretty legit.
Well, don't commentators curse them here, Zacubus. You can see still that 91-point difference between number 1 and number 2. These are just like the 10 players we're keeping in a heavy eye on when it comes to this match. Stompy and Shinken, winners of round 3, have Razru to worry about, but Razru's taken a lot of damage. He's lost out on his shield. X8's there to help out as well, but they're split apart.
Yeah,
strength is in numbers.
That could be difficult. If they find an opportunity to push one of those players, it could be deadly for X8 and Razru there. But Scram and Sakona getting out. They're bottling out, but they've run into another team by the looks of it. Or maybe somebody rotating, actually. That was a quad crasher flying in the air that they just pop shots at it. See if they can get lucky, but
oh, man. No. Look how much they have to build with 140. for Vinny, as they have Shifty Shafts pretty much to themselves. Gem side and 7 SSK7 has been able to get an elimination apiece here, looking for a second one on the board for East. They're up against Cloud and Myth, and right now Cloud's gonna get actually edited on. He gets a nice little shot through the window, but he's being shot from behind. I'm not sure if that was Myth or if that was another player, but in the meantime, Cloud will fall, and that's their third elimination of this game.
Yeah, it was Myth. Good call. He tried to get an angle, but Myth is now getting third-partied from up on that hill. He's in a tough situation here, and Jam side and SSK aren't going to let it slide. They're pushing hard, and they will wrap that up very nicely, Jason.
4 limbs, second circle in. They are putting in some serious work. They are gunning to take that first place position, or at least to close that gap.
I think I know who was on that quad crasher, by the way. It must have been Myth and Cloud rotating, and they made quite a tactical error landing on, you know, basically the #2 team right now.
See Little J's been down. 0-7's trying to help him out here, but again, he's got to fight out the 1v2. Little J will be finished off. He won't be back to fight here for the rest of today. And again, just clean plays here out of E11, Crippa and Boyer. And again, no victory out for them just yet. But if they keep playing like this, then they are going to be able to maintain that top 5.
Yeah, they've been creeping up very, very quickly. And also, Tomo and Item as well doing very well on the Ninja grind as well. We haven't really seen a lot of them. I'd love to see some more action from these players that are climbing the ladder without getting those victory royales.
Yeah, very, very important. And that just shows that just really emphasizes the format we have here, with the elims being worth 5 points each, and again, the standing points you do get. Milan and Smeef, you know, we talked about before, you said Milan was playing a little bit different than his usual style, but they do have an elimination apiece here between these two players.
Maybe they're just getting the flow a little bit. You know, they've done a lot of games already that's not working out, and maybe they could just go, you know, we'll go for this.
So Eric just ditching Motor. Actually, maybe he's trying to flank around behind him, but I don't think Motor's actually going to be able to survive this as he's being aggressed on by Nick Merckx and Aiden. So I think we're going to have Fnatic lose out on a player now as Aiden's able to get that one. That's going to be the second elim here now for the Tilted crew.
Now they just got to get out of that storm, and they've got one player to go through as well as they try and exit there.
Mitro, Zayt, Sath, Kuna, all in the same position. Looks like one player from each team just going to retreat her from this one. And now, actually, Nick Merckx going to take down Eric, who eventually did come back to try to help out, but eventually cost them their chance here in round 7.
Yeah, tough there. And Zayt and Saf, obviously they got Mitro and Kuna right next to them, and they're currently in 13th position, or 14th position even. So they're creeping up. They were kind of unlucky in the last game and actually dropped a few sort of, you know, a few points there and slid down the leaderboard. But Mitro and Kuna are the team that could easily pull this back and cause an upset. We actually saw them fight earlier on in the last game too, and Zaf and Zayt came out on top easy.
There we go. Devils 1, Nero and Tyovsky. Not going to battle up against 2 players trying to deal with Chap in 72 hours. And as you can see, fighting from the low ground will be the 2 Liquid boys. I think Tom's wondering when he can hop into the hot tub. I think he actually requested, whatever hotel you put me in, it better have a hot tub because I need my time in the tub.
Oh, he can't play without it. It's just that. It's a simple fact. He can't play without the tub.
Here at Kahuna. Mitro looking to chase onto Zayt and Sap. This actually would be a big elimination if they can take them out of the fight here, who, you know, stop them from being in their top 5 leaderboards, maybe knock them down a couple of ranks here or there if they can potentially do so. And Smeef and Milan looking to join the party as well. Saf has actually been caught out here, and he will be finished off in just a few seconds of time. So a good start here for the Atlantis boys.
Very, very nice. They're going to be happy with that. A little bit of revenge coming out for them. That's a big drop there from Saf.
Oh, the matching skins as well. You love to see it. There we go, Tyovsky. He's being pressured back. You can see the stink bombs coming through. You got to respect the Liquid guys. You really have to give them the credit where the credit is due here. They're trying to shoot down a wall, get the replace back in. 72 hours. And Chap with no shield. Be at the most disadvantageous position in this fight. But the Storm, it's closing in, and now someone's going to have to make the move, right, Zach?
Yep, this is right, Jason. They will have to make the move, and there it is with a launch pad. And of course, Tyovsky Nero waiting for that.
Oh, Chap got knocked down mid-flight. He actually got incapacitated on the ground, so that's actually a little bit of a misstep for them. Actually, not even a misstep. That was the right play to make, but someone caught him off guard. Tyovsky's going to get the finisher on him, and now it's just left to 72 hours by himself without a teammate.
Oh, I think Tux actually just picked up Lolito there, I think, as we just switched to him. So that's a nice little limb to get there. But
another duo that we've seen kind of ninja their way through, though, even though they did get a victory out in Game 4.
They were actually my favorite coming into this duo tournament as well. They've been performing so well in the pop-up cups, also in custom games as well. They've been annihilating it. They had a slow start, but look at their scores now. They're climbing up those leaderboards quite quickly now as they make 9th place.
So Fa still alive, even though he lost history way earlier on. Nice to see him trying to survive as long as he possibly can, representing Brazil. Yeah, Vinny and Zextro. I feel like they know there's a target on their back. And now it looks like Tux and Provoke going to get very aggressive as Ares has been knocked down. The revive, it might come through. 2 seconds left to go. The pressure's come through. The stink bomb's being thrown in as well. They're trying to stop this res from coming through, and they will not be able to do so. But the thing is, will their opponents be able to escape this one? Ares gets knocked to the ground now. Nowhere's trying to run away from this one, trying to protect himself. You would imagine Tux and Provoke is going to have this one easy.
It's a great time to be aggressive, but you also got to be a little bit scared. There's third-party elements that will happen here. Nord is in a very, very bad position here. Tux and Provoke want to play this aggressively. They want to gain these resources, these mats, everything coming out from these two players. And Ares has already fallen. Nord is just trying to mini up as best as he can. I think Tux and Provoke has slightly lost him, but Sakona and Scram actually may have an angle on this situation, so there could be a third party from that direction as well. So, Nord going for the high ground. Provoke doesn't read it right, climbed up and secures himself a little bit higher, maybe a bit safer, but there's stinks in play, so he's not safe as of yet. We'll have to see if Tux actually has any more of those stinks in his inventory.
And the thing is, the storm will be closing in soon, so they want to clean up that elimination before Sakona and Scram can somehow pick up the elim themselves. Toma's going to fall. Item trying to run away from this one, and again, another top 5 team under some pressure as Jules is able to get some work done here with Miz. Nowhere's actually able to rotate him behind these two players, and Sidhu from Korea has actually been relatively quiet here so far, but has been able to make his way closer to the zone.
Item getting a little bit lucky on that rotation. No one focusing as he was scrambling away out of that situation. And now we switch over the action to Nero and Tyoski. And they're spamming some dynamite there that's going to affect this build quite nicely. I would expect, there we go. 2 players drop down, have to rebuild. Waste a couple of mats here as well. But nobody else focusing them. When you do a dynamite play like that, you're kind of hoping other people will join in the fun, Jason. But they didn't. That's kind of disappointing.
Well, unfortunately, this isn't the fun zone, I guess, at the moment. Magan, you can see trying to rotate in, try to get himself safe. Fa, you can see to the left-hand side as well. 72 Hours, who's lost Chap when they use the launch pad. Incly is going to be dropped down as well. This one by 72 Hours. He's looking to get elimination, and he will be able to secure it. So they at least have a minimum of 5 points on the board as we make our way through into the top 33 duos. Top 25 to place. So every team is just gunning to get into that for some guaranteed points.
The bush looks good on Chap, I must admit. Does look good on him, and he picked up that elimination onto Inclide as well just a few moments ago too. Now we're back to Bowman and Alpha. They got shot out by Nick Merckx and Aiden in the last game. It was, on the rotation, it's sad to see, but it happens very well.
Wow, Wexy and Demento is just being pummeled from all directions. Funk Bomb gonna get one. So at least able to help capitalize off of other players' confusion and chaos that was going on. 72 Hours, I mean, like we said, the bush is helping to protect him quite a bit here. Mitro going to be on high ground at the same time. And another fight from earlier on, we saw Shinken and Stompy, and you just see just the lasers coming through here from the high ground. A nice little different view from what we saw before.
Yeah, things getting hectic there. Real fast. Replay shots coming out there from both sides. Inclide and Marijuana actually picking this up very nicely in the early fight at the Aztec Temple.
There's some action towards Tilted as well, and you can see Saf just being shot out here. Mitro and Kuna.
So it's the rotation that got Saf. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's the downside, right? Is just, yes, the launch pad can be very good for rotating, but the downside is you're very vulnerable while you're gliding through the air. And at the caliber of players that we do have here, they're going to hit shots more often than not, especially in those situations. Now Mitro looking for Shanta Nero, who's just trying to dive and dip away from this one. It ain't dodgeball, but he's looking to take no damage as he's trying to relocate back towards the zone.
I'm interested on how Zayt is currently doing as well. Apparently he's alive, still out there lurking. So maybe we'll see his name flash up on this chaos rotation that is now happening as we enter the southeast zone.
See Milan's still alive too. I think this is one of the furthest games they've been able to get. Fa is actually still alive. A player we pointed out way earlier on as he lost out on history. Provoked and Tuck still there as well. You see the Jam side, 7SSK7 able to rain down the pain. They have a rift to go though, so I would imagine they're looking for the opportunities we're talking about before to take that high ground.
Just imagine if they could find the elimination onto Vinny and Zextro here in this kind of area of the points. You know, 29 teams remaining, 25 teams remaining as well. And Zay on the very edge of the zone. I think he's just using a campfire to heal himself up, and no pressure actually towards him on that end of the circle. So maybe he'll recover this, hopefully. But Vinny and Zexro still leading the charge, and they're still out there.
And to X8, who did get down. Looks like he will be finished off by Kilos. You can see Jules very careful about the peaks he does go for. This Bowman and Alpha still looking to get a high ground position, but we're getting into the moving storms here, Zakibus, and this is where things are going to get very hectic for all of these players. Demo has been dropped 72 hours this fight. Item did secure the elimination onto Demo, so we've talked about Item and Tomo, and they're consistently getting into these high placements yet again.
I believe Vinny is the only one live here coming out from the TSM boys. That's it. He's by himself, same as Zay as well. But the rotations are now happening, and now the shots are firing coming in from Miz here. Lasers up a little bit at the build, but not landing any direct damage. He wants to try and maintain the high ground here. Can he find it? Will he be contested?
Oh, Razaru, the old Razzle Dazzle, as he flies through the air and is eliminated in the sky. A little bit unfortunate for him, but again, at least you have tomorrow to play another time, another round around. Item's still there, trying to contest as well. Here's Excalibur's gonna be finished off by Nikov. We can hear the shots rallying off, and the two players of Jules and Mitch just trying to stick together and make sure they can make this work. Jam side again on high ground with 7 SSK7. We talked about this so many times. Able to maintain the high ground positions, don't have a single victory royale, and yet they're in the top 5 currently.
And have 5 eliminations as well to boot. They're in a great position to capitalize on a hell of a lot more points here, Jason, if they can just keep their cool and play it safe. Just not overcommit to a situation. They've already got the elims. They just need the placements right now.
Another rip to go coming through. 7 SK7 trying to maintain this high ground position. You see Stompy is still going to be there. Warrior as well. I think Sky has fallen. Kripa trying to run around, trying to help keep themselves alive. Item trying to get a little bit further ahead as well. No one is challenging this high ground position, and this is so big here for the VP boys. If they can maintain this even longer, the problem is, though, they're running out of materials because they're the ones being forced to build across to keep that position.
It's really hard to actually for anybody to try and contest the high ground here as we go enter low ground area here, but I've been mistaken before, and it has happened here as Bowman and Alpha have capitalized on the top ground.
Well, the VP guys are out of this one. Kilos trying to survive. He's got 200 HP to work with here. Item actually takes down Fa. Fa's been able to make it into like top 7 when he lost his teammate within the first 2 circles. That man's done insane work here as Kripa's going to take down Kilos. Now trying to drop down here. 10 builds left to go. 8 now for Bowman. Kripa takes down Alpha from the low ground. You can see, and you can hear the traps, the miniguns, everything being thrown out here. The shotguns as well coming in, and we're down to 6 players.
Wow, what a play coming in from Boya and Kripa, pushing the high ground immensely well there, taking out Bowman as well. Brilliant retake of the high ground there. Great play on 5 eliminations. It's all to play for as we have 5 players left.
3 duos left to go as well. Kripa and Boyer, 8 eliminations for themselves. They could have another 3 added to the list here if they can keep this pace up here. But Boyer's been knocked down. He actually fell off of this one. I think he ran out of materials, and that's going to be unfortunate because now Kripa has to be the one to defend. He's got 127 HP. He's got the good weaponry to actually pull this off. But Vilix, look at him. He's actually been able to take the high ground himself. The storm is continuing to move. He's got nothing left to build with. And where is he going to fall? He's looking for the shot. He connects, and he's going to ride this to hopefully to a victory. And he comes back in. Vilix and Kinzo with 6 eliminations. My lord, he had me wondering what was his plan.
Oh,
but it pays off.
Jason, the zipline play comes in huge there. Absolutely massive play there coming in from Vilix and Kinzel. The coordination, the team play there was superb. They were separated from each other, but tackling 2 different problems at the same time. And when you're out of mats and you've got to do that jump off the cliff.
Look at him. You see, he's like, oh, that was heart beating, knees weak, arms heavy. Ruined the whole stick on that one, but you can see the pressure that was on him in that situation. And to make those split-second decisions, you have to have experienced it before, unless you're just a mechanical genius.
These players just see things that we don't. At times, it's as simple as that. We saw it with Yarkos,